Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to another live stream with me, 320 SimPilot. Great to have you all here. Such an exciting day, isn't it? We are finally getting to go into the air in the ToLiss A340-600. This was announced months and months ago now. I can't believe it's here already, and I'm just so excited to show it to you. I've had it for a few days. I've been very lucky to have been included in the latest beta, so thank you to ToLiss for sending it over. And yeah, total joy. I'm a huge fan of this. This is one of my all-time favorite airliners outright. It's one of the ones I always hoped I'd get to fly. Sadly, very unlikely that'll happen. So I'm very much in the boat of bring it to me in flight simulation and I'll get to enjoy it. And what better company to do it than ToLiss? So happy to see it. And today we're going to be taking it for a spin. It's cold and dark. We're going to go through everything we can think of. It's only a 1 hour, 20-minute flight, but we're going to spend some time actually looking around it, fiddling with some of the systems, hopefully answering some questions some of you may have if you're thinking of picking it up at launch. I believe it comes out on the 25th, a bit later in the month. So yeah, it's coming soon. Exciting stuff. I see Max Waldorf is there. Max, I think, is from the, I believe it's definitely from the ToLiss team. So thank you for coming along, Max. And yeah, amazing work on this project. It's such a treat. So we're going to go through it bit by bit and take it for, like I say, a flight up towards Heathrow, a sort of delivery flight. I was going to use the Virgin Atlantic livery, but we don't have liveries just yet. They are being worked on, as you can imagine. Loads of liveries I'm excited to put onto this one, as well as obviously our in-house liveries to make it as bright pink and blue as we can. So great stuff. First of all, the chats are very busy today, so obviously there's a lot of excitement about this. So usually I would go through and say hello to everyone who's joined the chat. That might be a bit of a difficult ask today, so I'll just pick out a few. I do apologise if I miss them, but Avgeek69, good to see you. Becky Davis, I hope you're doing well. Joanne, thank you for the congrats on 50,000. We did pass 50,000 subscribers on the channel very recently. Really excited about that. Thank you all so much for being a part of it. Great to have you here as well. But yeah, it's great to have so many of you join us today. So I hope you enjoy it. Dougal, thanks for coming in to moderate along with Richard V. It's great to see you all here. And Matteo Chewy. Chickpoint, I hope you're doing very well. And yeah, it's going to be hard for me to keep up with everything. So I will do my best and we'll take questions as we go through, and I'll be looking over into the chat and picking out what I can. Schwig44, good to see you here as well. Andres, Victor Tango, thanks for coming to moderate. And Lauren V as well, of course. Lauren V hasn't had breakfast yet, and is excited to see this one, of course. Flyboy, Danny J. Suresh, I hope you're doing well. Nice West, good to see you again. Piano Learner, Warrior Lad, lots of names I recognise, so great to have you all here. And obviously, yeah, this is an exciting day for XP11 and the channel in general. Thanks, Paul, for the congrats. Really appreciate it. And yeah, so we will go, I'll take questions. We'll go through as many things as I can think of, and certainly the things I've noticed about this today in the stream. We're under no real time pressure here, so that's great. So take it easy, relax, have a cup of coffee. We're going to enjoy it and soak it in. And as I said, I'm just a huge fan of this airplane in general. So I was so excited when they announced it. And yeah, I believe some of the team at ToLiss are big fans of it. Obviously, they wouldn't have spent the last year of their lives making it, so you can imagine that is the case. Right, thank you as well for those follows on Twitch. You can watch on Twitch if you prefer Twitch. I'm on Twitch and YouTube live at the same time. That is entirely up to you guys. So Peter, good to see you. Croson Moon, I hope you're doing well. It's been a while. Great to have you here. I hope you're doing very well and your exams aren't too difficult. Elias would like ATSU pages. Gliding Kiwi confirmed they'll work on it soon. Yeah, I'll show you what's going on there. So that brings me to my next point. This is a pre-release. It's not out yet. You can't actually pick it up just yet. And as a result, there may be things missing. There may be things still a work in progress. So it's a beta still. So we'll see how it goes. And I'd also like to point out, I had the ToLiss 321. I bought that a few months after it came out, and they have added so much to it over the last year. So ToLiss have been very good at supporting their products. So I've been very impressed with that. We eventually got all sorts of things added, including ram air turbine and stuff like that. So that's great. This is also going to be the biggest aircraft we've flown on the channel. I believe it outclasses the 350-900. So yeah, it was the longest airliner ever made until the 747-8. But this is a really, really impressive beast. Thanks for those follows as well. I do apologise if I missed them. Skip and Slet. I can't see Twitch. I struggle with Twitch usernames. Right, so this is loaded up, cold and dark, and everything's off. The batteries are off, and this is what you get. This is the only livery we have for now, the ToLiss livery. And let's head down and take a bit of a closer look at it. Right. So I don't have any ground handling deluxe. Normally I would use that in X-Plane. I like having lots of ground vehicles, but that's that obviously I need someone much smarter than me to make a format for it. So for now we have it sitting on bare on the apron, which is what you'll have. So this is the visual model, and as you would tell, it's in, you know, it's as you'd expect from ToLiss. Really, they've got all of the dimensions, all of the feel of the aircraft just spot on. It's it's no mistaking, and there's no mistaking it. It is the 600, not the 500. They did use the same engines, but the 600 actually came out first. The A350-500, slightly shorter, came out a little bit later. So it's a slightly different machine. This is only the 600 included. It only has one engine option, which is the Trent 500. So that's what we're going to be going with. I absolutely agree. Oh, sorry. See, already I see something in the chat and I meant to answer it. I agree, Dougal. They've done some great things for flight simulation, no doubt about it. And Josh says, will XP11 add-ons be available on XP12? That's a good question. We'll have to hope ToLiss can answer that one. Alex UK, thanks so much for £20 super chat. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Very, very kind of you. And thanks for supporting the channel so much. Alex UK has been a big supporter of the channel. Really appreciate it. And I hope you're doing well. And I hope you enjoy this flight. And very kind. And thanks so much for supporting us. So here it is. Here's the external model. Sorry, Alex, I won't spend more time on it, but we've got so much going on. I'm going to struggle here. So this is on VATS in this flight, by the way, but we won't be going for getting going just yet. Obviously, the doors are animated as you would expect, so these can all be opened through. Yes, it's here. A lot of you will be wondering how to do this. The ISCS is back. No problem at all. So we've got ground services, external power, A, B, high pressure, low pressure air, and all of this good stuff. Doesn't load any visual models. It doesn't in the 321, so I didn't expect it to. But you have 2 ground power units. Obviously, this is a big airplane, so it can use a bit more ground power. Thanks for those subscriptions and follows. I really appreciate it. 541 passengers is a little bit more than I'd expected. I only put 300 on the load sheet. This airplane can hold. So, I've got regular viewers of the channel know that I love Wikipedia facts. So we've got a maximum of 419 passengers on this airplane if you had a 2-class configuration. I'm not sure how many you could fit if you had 1 class of economy, but there you go. ToLiss support each product through 2 versions of X-Plane, I believe, so it'll be supported for X-Plane 12. Yeah, I had heard that. And Max Waldorf, there we go. Max Waldorf, here's the answer, says the A340 will be updated freely for X-Plane 12. Good stuff. Right, so the doors are in auto. ToLiss have this auto system. The ISCS, by the way, is one of my favorite interactions with a simulator. It's very powerful. And there you go. You see how it's closing. These run on timers and sequences, and if you turn on the beacon and so on, they'll actually they'll close and so on their own. So I usually leave them in auto, but let's open them up, open up everything. And we'll take a look. Lots and lots and lots of doors on this one. There they go. Oh, nope. And we'll go for a whiz around the outside. Victor Tango, thanks so much, Victor Tango. That's incredibly generous. $34.32 tip. Really appreciate it. Victor Tango says, congratulations on 50,000 subscribers and to the next 50,000 to come. Thanks so much for all the time and knowledge you've given us, Captain. You're very welcome, Victor Tango. That's, again, incredibly generous. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks so much for being a part of the community and for taking your time to moderate. Really very kind of you. Right. Here we go. So, nose gear, starting there. Look at this. I would say this is a step up from the ToLiss A321, sort of as you'd expect. But it's been done to a really, really nice level of detail on these sort of parts of the airplane. You've got it's got labels, stickers, but it's just really nice and crisp texturing. So I've been very pleased with that. A bit of dirt on the inside of the gear doors. 340-600 is a 20-year-old airplane now, so you'd expect it to start looking a bit grubby. These aren't going to be brand new, but there we go. We're going to head around to the other side, and as you expect as well, we have these are ice detectors, I believe. I don't see these often because they're not on the 320 family by default. You've got to pay for them. You've got the total air temperature probe, then you've got the pitot probes, the angle of attack indicators up here. So that's all modeled as you'd expect from a ToLiss product. Oh, there's the pitos over there. And these ice detectors they vibrate, and if ice builds up on them, the vibration changes so they can tell that there's ice. Very clever stuff. Johnny Carlson, thanks so much for your €4.99 super chat. Really appreciate it. Johnny says, nice to see that my chat with Juliana paid off. So nice to see you stream this plane. Yeah, thank you. We're always very privileged if a developer chooses to include us in their betas. I know so few of you reached out, so thank you for that. But of course, we always respect the developer's choice. It's entirely up to them. And it's very kind of ToLiss and to include us after some requests from you guys. So thank you for that. But of course, all developers free to do exactly as they wish. We've got the cargo hold doors, which are open and working. I may have to turn off the alerts in a moment if it just, we've got a lot of extra subscribers here. So thank you all for subscribing. And yeah, I do apologize if those alerts keep going too much for you guys. Yeah, we've got the cargo doors now modeled inside, but I'm not, it's not I don't spend too much time looking at the cargo holds, I can promise you. We have a fully modeled cabin as well. Through those doors you can see it. They've got the galleys and so on, and here we have the engines, the Trent 500s, as I said, all very nice, and Gliding Kiwi logo on the side. Gliding Kiwi is the username of one of the developers over on the X-Plane Org forum, so that's very good, nice little touch. It's done very carefully in the format of Rolls-Royce. I do like it, but with a Kiwi gliding out the sky. So yeah, quite like that. I'm pretty sure Kiwis can't fly at all, so that would explain why they're gliding, I suppose. And then yeah, all the decals and so on. Again, I'm sure we'll see some nice liveries being created by the community pretty soon, or as soon as they get their hands on the texture packs, really. If we head over to the landing gear over here, obviously more of the same, nice detail, all the different bits. Now, this, I believe, was a huge piece of work to get all these working, because you have a lot of gear, 14 wheels on the 340-600. It is a monster, only topped really by the 747 and the A380, of course. So yeah, 3 complete sets of wheels 3 sets of 4. So it's a serious piece of kit, a lot of weight to go onto it. Brings me to my next one, which is the classic ToLiss feature, which is, actually I'll go to a sort of side-on view. Let's zoom out so I can get that right. That you can adjust obviously all the weights and so on, and if you do, you'll notice the gear moving up and down. Let's see if we can get that right. So if we were to just chuck on a load of weight there, it sort of sinks down nicely. And if we chuck on a load of fuel, if you watch the wingtip, let's just refuel, the whole plane weighs down and the wings bend down. And then if we take off the fuel, they pop back up, the plane pops back up. Really like it. Very, very nice and easy system for loading up the ToLiss. Just remember to click apply, otherwise that won't work. So there you go. So that's that. I mean, there's so much to talk about. I'm never going to get through it all. Some differences over the 320. We've got things like the, of course, the fuel jettison, something we don't have on the 320 family. It's used on heavy airplanes because they can't always get themselves back. If their max landing weight is usually a lot lower than their takeoff weight, and they head off with so much fuel that they need to be able to dump it in case of an emergency so they can return into an airfield and fit into it. You can land overweight. Most aircraft allow it, but it does require an inspection with engineering, so airlines obviously don't like that. Interesting to note, on some modern aircraft like the 350, the fuel jettison system's optional, so it's up to you if you want it, because it does of course weigh something, so you gotta have that weight, and you're gonna fly it around for 20 years. You might decide it's not worth it, but there you go. I don't know the price of this plane. That's not been announced yet. No. What are the aircraft customization options in the ISS? Yeah, we'll take a look at that in a second. So anyway, there we go. There's the exterior, all the usual bits. Doors open and close automatically. Here's the wings, and we will look in the cabin shortly. So let's take a hop into the flight deck. So here we go, cold and dark. And first thing to say about the flight deck is the textures in here are, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, of course. This is ToLiss provided this, but they've not given me any instructions on what I can and can't say. They've been very good, so I'm just going to say what I think. The textures in here are a step up from the 321, and you can just start to see it. There's wear and tear around on the panels, which is just a little more noticeable than it was on the 321, in my opinion. So nice little bits of scratching around here where people have been moving the trim wheel and so on. I like that. So a nicely textured flight deck, and yeah, that sort of extends all over the place, really. And obviously heads off around the back. You've got all the seats modeled, the long haul seats. Look at that. That's a hard life being a long haul pilot, sitting there with your cup holder. Although, funnily enough, the 320 does have a cup holder for the jump seat as well, which when I first got on it, I couldn't believe. Here's our little stowage area. Even got the coat hangers, so you can hang up your fancy airline jacket and sort of emergency equipment and so on. So yeah, it's a very nice flight deck. Let me have a look in the chat. So we need a cabin tour. Yeah, we'll get to the cabin, no doubt about it. And the jaggy shadows, that's an X-Plane thing. Yeah, the shadows, there is a fix for that. I still haven't applied it. You guys have been telling me for ages to do that, and I haven't got around to it yet. So this airplane, ToLiss obviously worked very hard on the system, so let's get it powered up. Before we do that, I suppose we've got the ground services. So there's the external power loaded in, and we get the 2 green lights available. So I'm going to be looking at this from the perspective of a short-haul Airbus pilot and seeing if I can work my way through it. I'm optimistic I can. I have tried a little bit. I've also got a checklist from the ToLiss Discord server. AviTab is naturally integrated. You just have to press enable AviTab tablets. So that is a little dash there. So that's all I've had to do to turn that on, and it is loaded up nicely in a sort of its own little frame and a little brightness adjuster up here. So that's all very straightforward, and we have our flight plan ready to go. So AviTab works nicely, and you can do all the usual sound settings, adjust your joystick. There are some important things in here. Thing I want to talk about, should I do this first? Let's power it up. Let's get it turned on. Otherwise, they're sitting here looking at a cold and dark airplane. So we're going to check engine masters are all off. We've got the mode selector in norm. We've got the landing gear lever down. Wiper selectors are off, and we're going to turn on those batteries. So battery 1 and battery 2. Funnily enough, just the 2 batteries. Now, let me know how the audio is. It does have audio, like very nice audio actually. So I hope you guys can hear it, but I do struggle to adjust the settings sometimes. So hopefully that works. Right, so those are now on. The voltage is fine, 25.7 just about. You'll notice one difference. Instead of having 2 LCDs, we've only got 1, and then we have to drag this to number 2 to see the voltage of the different batteries and the APU generator, or the APU. Maybe that's an APU battery. It does have a different voltage. Anyway, regardless, let's get the external power on. And we'll go with both, so all the systems are powered. I imagine if you don't have both powered, you might lose some of the galley sort of functions, things like that. And it's powering up. You can hear the air conditioning come to life, as you'd expect. Let's get these screens turned on. Relatively, well, almost the same as the 320 family, obviously. This was built at very similar time to the 320. It was sort of almost, well, it happened just after, but it's you can see that it uses the exact same design language, and obviously built exactly the same time as the 330. It was all one big project. And there we go. So now it's powering up, and yeah, it's going to have all the things you'd expect. So look at this. We've got the 4 EPRs, Rolls-Royce engine. So sadly, we get EPR. N1 is this little number underneath. I do prefer the 320 style of having N1 as a little dial anyway, even though EPRs, because I keep looking over here for N1 and having to read just the number. I prefer the old gauges, but that's not it's not ToLiss's fault. That's just how it is. And then operative systems showing up. So yeah, we do have the eCam suite, as you'd expect. This is a ToLiss product. It's got all the systems modeling, and that's where we're going to start digging into it a little bit, see some of the things it's got. So what I'm going to do, let's power up and load up the airplane, and then we'll see where we go. The animation's on the buttons finally. So we have a slight change, and you'll notice it. Some of you may have spotted already in, where is it done? General settings, FCU mouse gestures. And this is a change that took me a little while to get used to, but I like it. Instead of a little arrow going up and down, you see I have a hand. And what I do is I click, and then I can pull back, and it pulls it, or I go push it in that way. And it seems to work from whichever side I choose to do it. So in, out. So I don't know how they've done that. I've not seen it before in X-Plane, but very clever. It's a good way to get around the issue of the Airbus having this extra sort of dimension, this third dimension to its button presses. So yeah, really like that. And that seems to apply across the board. So we can move all the switches, or pretty much all these sort of levered switches, by dragging them around. So let's go and do what we should do. Let's put the no smoking signs to auto, emergency exit lights to arm, and you just have to drag it, and then you can drag it to on or drag it back to arm. I really like it. It's something I haven't seen before, and I think it's a good little fix. Strobe lights to auto, nav lights to 1. There we go. Now, I'm still getting used to it. It is a new system. Mateo's asking, are all button presses animated? Good question. I guess you'll see as we go around. Everything seems to move. Let's turn on. Even these little switches here, you can drag. If you click it, it doesn't actually do anything. You do have to drag it. Let's turn on the other one as well. There we go. So that's a new little detail that I do like. I think it's been integrated quite nicely, and you can do all of these work. Now, here's an exciting one. I know this is trivial for a lot of you, but look at this. Finally, we have a tray table. It's about time. Excellent. And you can do the FOs one as well. So that's good. Now we're getting into long haul. We get the real luxury items modeled. So yeah, a few extra animated objects in this flight deck. Got sunshades as well. They're a bit better in the 340 than the 320, which just has these sort of weird things up here that you have to sort of wobble around and hit yourself on the head. Chris047, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. And it was done to have better integration with VR, says Max Waldorf. Great. I haven't even thought of that. So there you go. That's why we have this FCU gestures. But I like them. I do like them. Very nice. Right. Let's finish off the setup. We can check that the parking brake is on. We'll check the accumulator and brake pressure. This is exactly the same or very similar to the 320. Just about all right. A little bit low on the accumulator, but it seems okay. Thanks, Alex49, for the follow. I must thank again Victor Tango for the very kind donation, and Johnny Carlson and Alex UK. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so accumulator's fine. That's all good. And then we're going to check the oxygen. 1850 psi should be enough for 3 pilots. The hydraulics have got enough fluid. Yes, they have 3 hydraulic systems. Don't be confused. I was struggling with this diagram at first. It's green, blue, yellow, just like the 320, but the green system has 2 engine-driven pumps, engine 1 and 4. So this diagram just sort of represents that. No PTU in this aircraft, so the power transfer unit would normally allow one of the systems to be powered by the other one. Instead, as a backup, you've got 3 electric motors in each system. Sorry, 1 electric pump in each system, so you can power any of the systems entirely on their own using the hydraulics. And just to prove to you it works, you come up here. Guarded switches are modeled, so let's go to the yellow. I lift the guard by dragging it, just like the other one. Turn on the yellow pump. The yellow system pressurizes. You can actually hear the pump as well. I don't have the 3D sound fading on, so I think that you wouldn't be able to hear it if I had that setting on. I just like all these noises, so I try and do as many as I can. Can the FCU gestures be turned off? Says Dylan. Yes, so FCU gestures are an option. They were in the ISCS. Use FCU mouse gestures, so I've got that turned on, and a few other settings as I like them. Thanks for the follow and subscriptions. To Festive Sun, Martin, Tim. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. So there you go, and that's the yellow system powered. And of course, all these pages work. Go to flight controls. Look at that. We've got one of the ailerons. So in the 320, the ailerons are powered by 2 hydraulic systems. But of course, there's only 1 aileron, which could jam, could get a leak at the aileron endpoint, I suppose. Whereas with this, we've got the inboard ailerons only. So if we go to our wing view, won't show you the cabin just yet, you can see just one of the ailerons working, and then that inboard one is just sitting there hanging. Yeah, that's what it would do. Plenty more to see in the cabin soon. Only 1 engine option, Morton. It's just the Trent 500. That's all they had on, or that's all they have on this aircraft. There are some of these still around, I believe. Well, there are, but not so many now. Great. Right, so that is the end of that. Now I'm just going to do a sort of overhead panel flow. Not a whole lot to do here. Ground control would normally be on, and obviously we're going to align the ADIS. Then we're going to come down here. We've done the... Oh, there we go. Done the no smoking to auto. Seatbelts off. We haven't fueled up yet. Enunciator lights, just to give you a view of that. There you go. So, as you'd expect, all functioning. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Look at that. It is, yeah, it's a really nice textured cockpit. I'm very, very pleased with that. Leave those on bright. And I'll probably get the APU going because I'm going to forget that. It says on/R. I don't know what the R means. Sorry, I've looked up a few things, but I haven't worked out what the R is. If I get rid of the flight control page, it will default, or not default, it will now automatically go to APU, as you'd expect. I wonder if it has a flap. Someone in the chat will know. Recharge the accumulator with the blue. So normally it's yellow in the 320. I was wondering why hasn't the accumulator worked. So let's recharge the blue hydraulic system. Use a little bit of the electric pump. And there, hopefully, will recharge. There it goes. And this is, again, this is why we love the ToLiss stuff. It just works as it should. Brilliant. That can go off. And flap open, so it does have a flap. Nice little fuel used message. We don't get that on the short haul. Not sure where. Oh, there you go. There's a flap. Looks like it's opened as well. Excellent. Nice when those things are modelled. So we'll start that up. You don't actually have to wait for the flap open. I was just getting distracted. So we get that warmed up. Anti-ice can stay off. Got wing and the 4 engines. Nothing, no surprise. Probe window hit. I mean, you'll recognise this exactly from the 320. Ram air off, airflow norm and auto, I suppose. I don't know what the auto would do. 1 bleed per engine, so you've got 4 options to pressurize, which is nice. And we've got the APU bleed inlet, the cross bleed, all standard. This is exactly the same. Batteries we've done. I don't know what an ELMU is. I should have looked that one up. Commercial and galley, these are fitted. Some 320s have both of these, some only have one. Here's the fuel system. This is a little bit more complicated. Thanks for your follow to Lara222, and thanks for the subscription to Inverse Air Yoke. Evening, Michael John. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, a lot of us seem to have a soft spot for the 340, which is the best best 4-engine one, well, modern aircraft anyway. LGR is rest. Rest? I was reset. Okay. Why would you reset it? To turn it off and on? Strange. Yeah. Oh well. I'll have to do some googling, but that makes. I suppose it could be reset, couldn't it? And here we go. We have fuel, feeds, main pumps, aft pumps. We can just leave it all on. Obviously, why wouldn't we? It's an Airbus. We'll leave all these on. Engine fire tests. We do all 4 at once. Now that's nice. It would get tedious doing 4 separate engine buttons. And if I hold that and we look down, there you go. You get the ECAM, and there's the 4 fire lights. So that all works, which is great stuff. And obviously all the bottles arm. Finally then down here, wiper, engine manual starts and N1 mode, because it's EPR, of course, you have to have N1 mode ventilation as usual. That's exactly the same pretty much. It's just called blower and extract, not avionics and extract on the 320. Cargo, air conditioning, more flight control computers. We've got primary and sec, so must have slightly different names over here. They've got primary and sec. Slightly less actually, there's 7 separate buttons on the 320 family. We've only got 6, but I'm sure there's a lot more redundancy built in. Long-haul aircraft tend to have more redundancy built in. Landscape camera you can turn off. We're going to see what that means a bit later. And up here, if we move further back on the panel, more of the engineering style stuff. So FADEC ground power. If we turn that on, we should see. Oh, we already had power anyway. Actually, no, that's not making a difference at the moment. But there we go. And then you've got leak measurement valves and so on. Yep, great. That's the overhead panel. That's sort of the flow. What I'm going to do now is do the classic. We'll load up the MCDU. Thanks for the subscription to Screwjar. Can the displays pop out like a 319/21? Yes, they can. You can have them all wherever you fancy. Yeah. It's so... You're coming from the ToLiss 321. Everything was where I expected it to be. So there won't be any stresses or strains for those of you coming from those airplanes. Electrical load management unit, says Leo. Thanks, Leo. That is the LMU. It enables reduction of the aircraft power consumption by shedding momentarily certain less important power users, for example, the cabin loads. Right. So it must be a slightly automated system. We're going to leave it on. That will be the default. Lights out. There we go. Right. Let's get rid of these. Watch out not to overstretch your neck. So checkpoint. Yeah, indeed. Is the MCDU the same as the 320? John says, well, it's very similar. So again, you have no trouble. Now it's a bit small. I'm running at a slightly higher resolution today, so I do apologize for that. Yeah, that's not great. You guys tell me, do you want the pop out or I can go and use the real one? Up to you. The real one looks a bit bigger, doesn't it? Let's try that. So here we go, A340-642. It's on cycle 2009. And we're going to count that as valid. So that is the D. And here we go. Let's load it in. LFBO. So it is incredibly similar. Rainy487, thanks for your follow. It's incredibly similar to the 320 family. You're all going to be familiar with this. There are some differences. Passenger number, cost index, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Real one. Everyone says real one. There you go. Danny Rubel, good to see you. Yeah, it has been a while. And British Avgeek, good to see you. Thanks for coming along, British Avgeek, another streamer, of course, on YouTube. I'm sure many of you will know. Right, let's go to alternate. It's going to be Manchester today. Echo Golf Charlie Charlie. Flight number. Now, I don't know if any of you have spotted this, but I always use IMX 222 for my videos because it's just my test flight sort of one. So I'm going to go with that one, which is Manta 222. I don't think there's many VATSIM controllers, so it shouldn't matter. Passenger number. Now, I made an allowance for, I think I did 300. I wanted to get 300. I thought 300 passengers would be quite good fun. So let's just say we have 300. I don't know why it's going in here, but there are some trim effects that do matter. Cost index is supposed to be something ridiculously high, 118. So let's put that in. Infinite224, thanks so much for your £4.49 super chat. Really appreciate it. Infinite224 says, finished my first week of ATPL theory. Love watching your videos in my spare time. Long time subscriber. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Infinite224. Really appreciate it. I hope you're having good fun on the ATPL theory. That is quite a challenge. But yeah, really appreciate it. Thanks for watching and supporting us. And yeah, I know you've been around a long time, so really appreciate it. No, IMX 50k, says Lauren V. That'll be for the Concorde flight. So I promise that when we hit 50,000 subscribers, we'll do a Concorde flight, and that's what we'll do. But that will be the Manta 50 kilo. Right, I need the what was I looking for? No, we'll just use the default temperature. It's not going to make too much difference. Minus 44 at 300 sounds reasonable. It's a relatively short flight. I won't do the wind until I've loaded the route in. I won't do the init either. Ground temperature, it's actually pretty warm out there, 23 degrees. Nice day down in Toulouse, as usual. Thanks for those subscriptions to Jory and Thomas and QMed. Again, apologies to those of you in chat who have asked questions and I missed. I will hopefully get round to them again. Right, Next is flight plan. Now, for those of you who don't know Toulouse, we're parked over in the Airbus apron. LFBO. I do apologise to anyone watching me struggle through Avitab. I'm terrible at it. Really bad. Right. Airport. We are parked over here. This is Airbus's apron. They usually use 32 left. Commercial traffic obviously using 32 right. So we're going to try and depart from 32 left to save us taxiing down here to 32 right. And then we are going to fly the Laco departure. So if we go to, let's just refresh the weather. It's a light easterly wind, so 32 should be absolutely fine. Although 060, that's a slight tailwind potentially, but at this weight, it's going to save us a lot of taxiing around. Although having said that, taxiing is going to be quite useful to do. Okay, no, we're going to taxi, so we'll go from the other runway. We're going to taxi up, and we'll go from 14 right, which is the planned runway anyway. Good stuff. Right, so let's do that. Departure. And Laku, whoever sees it first wins. Not temporary. 5 Alpha. No, we want the hotel. Typical. Is the hotel here? Yes, it is. Laco 5 Hotel. There it is. So climb straight ahead at 1,000 feet. Turn right. Intercept Toulouse. Radial 174. Inbound to Toulouse. Then a left turn. Toulouse. Radial 334 to Laco. It's 4 piston aircraft and helicopter. Prop aircraft by ATC. Right. So as ever, I've managed to choose one that we're not allowed to use. So could we try, it's just because the turn is too tight, the 5 Alpha. That looks better, doesn't it? That's going to be longer. It's from 14 left and right. That's SimBrief giving me the 5 Hotel there by default. So we're going to do this one. It's not for piston aircraft and helicopters, which will make sense. This turn will be too tight, and especially in a 340, we're not going to manage that. Try my runway track at 2,500 to intercept the radial 142. At above 4,000, but not before 8 miles. Turn right. Gives us an initial climb clearance of flight level 70. I'm going to put that in now. I don't believe there's air traffic here, so we can have that ready to go. Oh, there you go. The FADEC has depowered now, so hence we get these amber crosses. Prop departure for the win, says Lauren V. Exactly. Demi says, where did you get this add-on? This is the beta that ToLiss kindly provided. It's releasing soon. Right. GPS primary. Looks like it's all aligned. We're going from 14 right. Laku 5 Alpha. Thanks, Ryan, for the follow. There's the 5 Alpha. Looks roughly right on there. Won't look perfect until we put the weights in. And that's going to finish at Laku. There we go. So this, you know, dead easy. If you've flown any of the Airbuses, you can have no trouble here. Upper mic 184 to Charlie November Alpha. This is, like I say, quite a short flight, yet seems to have a lot of airways. Upper November 863. We're going to take that to Manak. Flap operator, thanks for your subscription. Then we're going to take Upper Tango 183 to Tirav. So normally in the real world, a lot of airlines have this downloaded through ACARS, but every now and then it doesn't work, and you might not have ACARS coverage or something, and you have to do it yourself. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I can tell you that there are some aircraft that have better airways inserting than the Airbus. And when I end up having to do the whole route like this, sitting in the Airbus, I do think back to our flights in the 757 and go, oh, that is a good system, isn't it? Thanks for the follow, Winty, and thanks for the subscription to Jeremy. Right, Rocksock is the start of our arrival into Heathrow. Rocksock. I don't think we've flown into Heathrow before on the channel. We've departed it a couple of times. Does anyone remember? Have we flown into it on stream? Then, not sure what arrival to expect. I think SimBrief said 9 left, and it said Rocksock 1 Hotel, so let's put that in. That is a long list. Rocksock 1 Hotel, which is going to come in via, I would imagine, well, we're going to come in from the southeast, which would be big, wouldn't it? So we'll insert that. Good, so that is the flight plan. Thanks to 7 Mike Papa for your follow. Daniel says, as far as type rating goes, is there much difference between 320, 330 and 340 apart from size and number of engines? Is it easy to transition? I think it's a short course, I think. But I haven't done it, so I just don't know. It's clearly flying it is going to be very similar. F speed, all of that is basically the same. And pilots can fly. They can be rated on the 330 and the 320. I assume that means they could fly the 340 and the 320, you know, at the same time, as in the same sort of working week. I mean, just look around, it is the same. So yeah, it's got to be easier than transitioning from a Boeing. It just has a few extra systems, things like fuel dumping, which you may have spotted up here, fuel jettison, stuff like that you'll need to get your head around. But aside from that, it's not too shocking. Cinematic says, are you using the Windwing A3XX Sidekick? Not for today's video. The reason is I'm using the Thrustmaster TCA because I know a few of you have that and are interested to see how it's going to work with this. Anyway, there we go. That's a flight plan. Secondary flight plan. You know, it all works. It's a ToLiss. Copy. So no surprises here. RadNav automatically tuned Toulouse. I'm not going to argue with that. But I am going to make sure the VOR is displayed. There it is, Toulouse. And then finally, we're on to init B. So let's load it up. Heathrow landing 27 right, says Alan. Thanks, Alan. It's only a week transition course, Lauren V says. There you go. Yeah, that would definitely qualify as a short course. TCA is good, says one big flappy boy. Yeah, so we'll talk about that in just a moment. So let's load it up. Go back to the charts. We want a 0 fuel weight. Now listen to these numbers. This is ridiculous. The 0 fuel weight maximum, according to SimBrief, was 200. See, I wanted to say 25. It's 251 tons. 251 tons. So the 0 fuel weight, without any fuel, this airplane is 3 times heavier than the 321. The maximum takeoff weight, 380 tons. Absolutely ridiculous. So I want 300 passengers, which does put us close to the weight. We should be, our 0 fuel should be around 215 tons. So we're a bit heavy at the moment. So I'm just going to lower that. There seems to be a slight discrepancy in the weights. I can't imagine we'd have much cargo on a flight like this, but I am going to have to reduce the weights. And we'll just put them slightly more distributed, a bit more evenly. They would normally be slightly aft distributed, being a, you know, club or business at the front. All right, the first officer's coming. Please don't walk on the keyboards. Please don't walk on the keyboard. That's the wrong route. No. Not a good time for that, I'm afraid. There we go. Sorry, everybody. The cat has arrived. For those of you who don't know, the cat is our first officer, and she does like to show up and march all over the the keys at really inopportune moments. Anyway, there we go. So 0 fuel weight, 227. Still a little bit heavy. Let's just drop it a bit. 215 we want to be. Down we go. Ah, we've only got 200 passengers. That's no fun. I'm going to get rid of some more cargo. Go with that. Good. Load. Feel the airplane moving. I do like that. And we need a block fuel of 23.7 tons, which is huge. Obviously, there's a reason this airplane isn't around. It's going to burn 12.5 tons to get on a 1 hour 22 flight. Now, obviously, it's not very efficient doing these short hops in it, but still, that is ridiculous. So we need 23.7. I'm going to actually go a bit higher than that. I'm going to add, let's go to 40 tons because I'm going to try and jettison some of it on the way. So we'll put 40 tons of fuel on board. That's basically double, but we're going to show you the fuel jettison system, which I'll probably turn on and then totally forget about. Here we go then. Let's load it in. So 0 fuel weight of 215.7. 0 fuel weight CG 28. Very important. It's extra important on the 340-600. In the 320 family, it's important, obviously, but it's to do with making sure the airplane is balanced properly with fuel, and the airplane will automatically move fuel into the rear trim tank. So there's tanks in the tail of the airplane, and it needs to know, there you go, there's the tank there, and I believe anyway, it needs to know the CG accurately for that. Also for setting our takeoff trim, because it's very easy to tail strike this airplane, as you can imagine. These Rolls-Royce Trents were very under efficient, even worse on the 600. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, with Guru, exactly, we do have to do the fuel jettison. Block fuel, 40.1. Let's go with that. And obviously, we could fit so much more. There's 3 digits over there. That gives us 1 hour 20. Takeoff weight 254. Landing at 241 tons. Let's just check that's below the maximum. Landing weight 265. So we could land even with that fuel. We're going to land with a bit extra, 18 tons extra. That's no problem. Did you not say 0 fuel is 2? Oh, what have I done? Sorry, maximum 0 fuel is 251, but we want 215. That's what we've planned on. Yeah, that is confusing, but there we go. Problem with too many numbers. I often think about the amount of numbers day to day when we're flying, you know, airliners around. We have to get so many numbers right, and it doesn't take many of them to be wrong to have a bad day out. You're constantly going through them, so that's why we take a lot of care. Doing this is done with 2 pilots always. It's called well, the airlines have different names for it, but it's such an important part of the setup that we must get this right. That we'll never do this on your own. It's not like we'll do this and then the other pilot will check it. You know, this is done together because it's just too crucial. Good. So that's an IP. And finally, then, you know what's coming next? Diff Rip performance. So active flight plan, flaps 1+F. It loads in the weather, and we're going to go toga thrust. The reason is, for now, the Flex temperature, I haven't been able to enter it. I don't know whether I'm doing something wrong or whether it's just a work in progress to come soon. So we'll go Toga for this one, which is also good fun as well. Does a display below chrono work? This is the DCDU, and we'll talk about that when we get going. For now, I haven't been able to make it do anything, but this is it's used for contacting air traffic control through CPDLC. So we'll show you a bit more of that a bit later. So flaps, trimmable horizontal stabilizer. So we can go 1 because we're doing a config 1 plus F takeoff. I think we would. It's a long runway and it's light, so why wouldn't we go config 1 plus F? I think that's what we'd do. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I do in the 320. And then we're going to go with a CG of up 2.1. And I think we have to enter it to stop it shouting at us on takeoff. Flex temp, not applicable. Speeds, 161. Oh, no, hold on. Yeah, no flex, packs off. There we go. It's 158. Speeds are a bit lower. You've got more thrust on, so the speeds you usually reduce. 158, 158, 165. Clean of 222 knots. That's not too bad at all. Washek says, there's a real 320 captain who streams on Twitch and mentioned that they never enter the winds into the FMC. How normal is that? No, you'd normally... Well, I would anyway. Shorter flights, it doesn't matter. You could just put a component in. But for longer flights, it's worth it. Which reminds me, wind request. We'll do that now. There you go. But shorter flights, you could just on this page... sorry, on the B page, you could put in a wind component. But we've loaded it in properly. And there we go. Performance is done. So quite high rotation speeds. About 160 knots we're going to get into the air. But no problem there. Yeah, 158, Mateus. It is a big one, big speed. For flex temp in the perf takeoff page, you need to enter F51 and not just 51. There you go. That's all I needed to know. We're going to go Toga anyway for the fun of it. But thanks. It was F. Funny, isn't it? Why would they change that? I spent ages. I'm sure I tried all sorts of different things and I couldn't make it work. And I didn't think of the most obvious. Those of you who watched my last stream in the we did the BAE 146 and I managed to not press on one of the systems and was getting really confused and upset that I couldn't get it working. It was entirely my fault. There we go. Right. Usually flaps 3 for takeoff, says Michaela B. Okay. Well, let's go flaps 1. Maybe we can do another flight depending on how time goes. Do the FCU knob lights work? Which ones do you mean? Do you mean the integrated lights? All the integrated lights work as you'd expect. All very nice. Let's now start getting ready to go. The fuel's on board. In fact, let's just check it's gone in the right place. All the buttons are slightly different. There we go. Fuel. So look at it all. 4.5 tons out there. Then we got the inner tanks which feed the engines directly. So the outer tanks, the center tank and the tail tank don't feed the engines. That fuel gets put into these inner tanks which then feed the engines directly. And then of course there's cross feed if you need it. APU coming out of this left tank over here. Let's see actually, has that burnt some fuel? Yeah, 170 kilos. Oh, it's quite a big APU, quite thirsty. Ghosty Demon, thanks so much for your £4.49 super chat. Really appreciate it. Ghosty Demon says, just got home, so we'll start the stream from the start shortly. Congrats on 50k, and thanks for everything that's built up around this amazing channel. You're very welcome, Ghosty Demon. Thank you so much for that very generous donation. I really appreciate it, and thanks for being a part of the channel. I hope you enjoy the stream, and we'll see you if you catch up. Yeah, really appreciate it. Old Man Bishop says, do you not modify your alternate and final fuel in the MCDU based on the OFP? Yeah, you would in the real aircrafts. Some people don't because this is a direct route. You could load in the route and have it exact. So what you'd do is our alternate today is Manchester taking 4.4 tons of fuel to get there. So we could just put in 4.4. So it's slightly thirstier. So I would in the real aircraft, to be honest, do that. Absolutely. And then there's jettison gross weight. So I wonder. We'll try that out when we get going. Yeah, interesting. So do remind me about that. Right, so yeah, that's all been pretty much standard Airbus stuff. I think it's time we start moving on. So we're going to push back now. So let's get the AP bleed on. Let's get rid of the ground power units. I think that's all in a good place. The doors will probably start... Oh no, we need to put them all back into auto. Thanks for the follow to 24 Who. And let's put these... Let's just see what happens in auto. Yeah, they want to close... I can't wait for ground handling deluxe to get someone will make a set for this because I don't know how. I have tried and I think it will look great. They're all closing up now because we've been on the ground for ages, so they're expecting us to go. Don't need the GPUs anymore. And let's load up a quick check at that sim. There's no one around here. There is a center when we get into the air, so I'll just get airborne to see if they have a go at us. Raymond says, I've been on the 600. The plane is so long that if you sat at the rear, you can see the contrast from the engines. That's pretty cool. We might try that out. Another thing about the 340s are, they're just so quiet. I've been in a 340-300. I think it was a 300 or possibly a 200, but either way, it was so quiet. Absolute joy. Let's now run. I think we're ready to run our first checklist. So the managed speeds are in, the flight directors are on, PFD looks sensible. You know, this is all just stuff. No effort's gone into this in terms of having to think of it differently, aside from that little F in the performance page. Thanks for Jones for the subscription. So that's all looking good. This is a third MCDU. Nothing too exciting there. I'm not going to use it. And let's see how we're doing. So yeah, next bit before we get going, let's talk about the Thrustmaster TCA. For those of you who have it, great news. I don't know how ToLiss have done it. In X-Plane, you can't normally assign one thrust lever. I've only got 2 thrust levers. I've got the TCA. In X-Plane, you can't normally assign them to power 2 thrust levers, but somehow ToLiss have done it, so it works. Look at that. Same for reverse, it just works, and it's so easy to set it up in here. You can set the idle location. It shows you where your thrust levers are at, and then you can set the detents where you want them. You can make sure reverse is on the same axis, which will enable this. So yeah, that's just great. Works so easily. Again, this ISTS is one of the best out there. It's really good. So yeah, I've got 1 thrust lever for those, 1 for those. That's absolutely fine. But if you do have 4, you could obviously assign them separately. I don't see why not anyway. So that should be good for that. Paris won't talk to us for a bit. Thanks, Lauren V. So yeah, we'll do that a bit when we get going. Craig says, hope ToLiss would support data refs for the doors so external programs can interact with them. Oh, there you go. Interesting. Situations on the aircraft config tab. Situation aircraft. These are ones that I've created, so you can save your own. This is a genius tool for being able to set up and practice landings. As you can see, I've been practicing those. We've got brake fans. You can have yes, they appear there, and auto, which I assume will go into the livery file as it does with the 321. Different weight variants. There is a high weight version, and we've got the Imperial units. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. But yeah, that's what you can do there. So, you know, things like sharklets and that, obviously they all had the winglets, so that's all you're going to get. And there, funnily enough, is a 777, which is what this was designed to compete with. I think compete is a pretty generous word after the actual what actually happens with it, but there you go. So yeah, what am I doing? Checklist time. So I've got the checklist of the ToLiss Discord. Before start check is cockpit prep completed, I hope, and completed. Gear pins and covers removed. Signs are on and auto. ADIs are in nav. Fuel quantity, we wanted 24 tons. We've got 40 tons. Takeoff data is set, and that is 158, 165. Climb nav blue 152. We're going to stop at flight level 70. Let me just check the transition is in 5,000. So yeah, we're going to go to flight level when we get up there. Barra F is, oh yeah, there we go. There's a reason we have checklists. 1022. It's a nice day. It makes sense. The pressure is nice and high. Absolutely love Toulouse. Very nice place. 1022, and it's all synchronized, obviously, as we have that feature. Craig says, ToLiss being able to change features on the fly is amazing. I've never seen a product do it so well. Yeah, I agree. It's so easy. Can we please set the plane aircraft age to brand new, says Guru? I might leave it as it is. It's performance adjustment, so I don't know. I haven't seen that before. Is that on the 321? I can't say I've noticed. Brandon says, can you please talk more about why reverse thrust operation on this plane is different? I don't think it's different. You mean that the levers are different? It's probably to do with just being able to move them a bit more easily, because obviously you've only got one hand and 4 thrust levers. Aside from that, I don't think there's much difference to it, really. But I could be wrong. I could have missed something quite obvious. Aircraft engine ages on all of them. Ah, I see. Okay. Yeah, my bad. Good. Anyway, we are now ready to go. Below the line, windows, doors closed. Beacon's going to come on. Transponder is going to go to auto. It's on T8. Well, it shouldn't be on T8. It should be in standby, and we'll put it to above. Thrust levers are at idle. Parking brake is on. So in a second, we'll call ground. But first of all, let's get our pushback.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
Yeah, and we're going to taxi up all the long way.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Toulouse traffic, Manta 222, pushing back from Airbus apron south. Don't know what else to say to that. ATSU pages can actually be got to from any of them, but they're a work in progress at the moment. So if you press ATC COM, you can see options that would go into the DCDU and then be sent to a traffic control, like a vertical request. But when you do that, you just get work in progress. So the framework looks like it's starting to appear, but yeah, they're not currently functional in this version. I can't tell you if that's going to be ready for release or not. 4-engine toga, it is. It's going to be 4-engine toga. Love it. Just before we do go,
All doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
we're down here. We're going to taxi out, head all the way up there, head off from Sierra 11. Let's not miss that turn and head up here, because then we'll be completely stuck. Then when we take off, out right turn back round to the Toulouse VOR, and off we go up to Laco. So nothing too exciting. It's a really nice departure. We stay within the low terrain area of 2,900 feet. And you can see it there. There's the Toulouse VOR. Just to prove it, let's put in a fixed range. The MSA is based on ARP, 25 miles. Look at this. Yeah, so the magic of this... Oh, no, ARP. Oh, I've misread that, haven't I? What am I talking about, ARP?
Now connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
What's it based on? Airfield reference point. It's just based on the airfield. I knew ARP was making a noise in my head or something. There we go. There's our ring. So we'll stay within that and we'll know we're at an MSA of 2,900 feet. The auto brake system is different. Yeah, we'll look at that as we get going. So, we're ready to go. Are you guys all ready? Let's get out of here. Let's take the 340 where it belongs, up into the sky. So there's the pushback, and start the run. Wow, that's not a good start. Come on, we can sort that one. We've had so many funky pushbacks over the year. Well, I can almost say years. Over the year and a half we've been doing this. With the 340, you kind of need 4-engine toga since the engines are really weak compared to the weight, at least on the 340-400. Yeah, it's not so bad on the 340-600. This is got a good thrust-to-weight ratio. So, starting engines. It's no surprise, exactly the same as the 320. Again, no mental gymnastics required. Engine start to ignition works just fine with the TCA. I've had no trouble. Now, of course, I've only got 2 start switches on my TCA, so we're going to start with engine 1. And if I just move it up, on it goes. And start the chrono. And look here. Thrust is not at idle. That's my fault for not calibrating that properly. But there we go. Good ECAM to have. And then it's spinning around N3. Funnily enough, N2 not considered very important. It's down here. And away we go. The 600 is not underpowered, says Joe. Yeah, I thought not. Now, we'll show you this start first, but it's not going to surprise you that the there you go, all normal, ignition system A. ToLiss doing a fantastic job. Avail, quite a quick start really. What's that? Yeah, in under a minute. I like it. So let's start up number 2, and it works. Number 3. Now, I don't know if you do this in the 340. I haven't found a definitive answer. On some forums, I found that, yes, you could, but I haven't got an FCOM that tells me I can. So it works in the ToLiss. A lot of 4-engine aircraft do. The 747-400 certainly does. The 787 can start both its engines at once. So these have more powerful APUs, and it seems capable, but whether that's realistic or not, I can't tell you. But I have no reason to believe it isn't. So there we go. It is weird having that 4-engine ECAM indeed. There's number 2, and there's number 3.
Operation complete. Set parking brake. Disconnecting tow. Standby.
There's the favourite view. That's the best view in a 340. Sadly, you've got to be in business or first class to get that, but yeah, pretty good. Right. Last one, number 4. So yeah, quick and easy to start. 4 engines, not too much of a hassle. I like it. The wing goes on and on. It does indeed. In the 380 you can do it as well. There you go. So I suspect, so you would start 3 and 4, then 1 and 2 at my airline. I haven't flown it myself. So it's out to market. Thanks for that. So let's just remember that. 3 and 4, then 1 and 2. So one side at a time. Which would make sense. 3 and 4 would power the green and blue hydraulic systems. And then yellow and green by... So you'd have your parking brake ready. Makes sense. There it goes.
We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
No single engine taxi today, Blu-ray King. Indeed not. So long-haul aircraft, this is just my understanding, they don't routinely taxi out with engines shut down. They can taxi in, but they're nearly always too heavy. That's available. There goes the ground crew. Yeah, they can taxi in, but not out because they're usually too heavy. So back to norm. And don't need the APU bleed. Don't need the APU. Come down here. Oh, let's put that on perf. Let's just make sure. There's the wave. We can actually see it this time. Nice big windows. Arm the ground spoilers. Recenter the rudder trim. Rudder trim, by the way, also works with the TCA. No problem. Flaps are going to 1. Again, works with the TCA. And trim. Very important, as I said earlier. So they had a huge incidence of tail strikes on the 340 when it first came out. It was actually double the 321 in terms of flights per million. So they had to find a way around it. And the 340 has several systems, including, I believe it's the first Airbus to have rotation law. It has rotation law, and ToLiss have put it into this one. Really, really interesting. We haven't seen the ToLiss do the rotation law in the 321 yet. So very interested to see how it feels in this one. Right. Gross weight CG. 30.1. And now I believe, or I read somewhere that there is a way to have this work automatically. In fact, it looks like it has. I think it did. After engine start, they added a system for it to automatically set the... Did it? Or did it not? Well, 30.1 will be somewhere there to set the trim. Again, because in a 320, if the trim's slightly out for takeoff, it's really not going to make a huge difference. But it could make a big difference in this one where you could strike the tail. And we'll talk about that a bit more as we get up to the runway. Roy Marks, thanks for your €10 super chat. That's very kind. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your donation. Thanks for supporting the channel. I hope you're doing very well. And great to have you here today. Yeah, thank you. Really, really kind. Right. Let's move on. After start checklist then. Anti-ice, not required. Lovely day here. Way too nice, really. Ecam status is checked. Pitch trim is set. Rudder trim, 0. That is the after-start checks complete. Let's taxi. Right, before we go, one of my favourite features. We have a camera. Set it to taxi, and there it is. How good is that? Absolutely love it. I know ToLiss put it in some of their screenshots, but I was still such a joy to see it. So I'll just time for the engines warm up. Let's call out our taxi. Toulouse ground, Manta 222, taxiing to runway 14 right via Whiskey. Let's get the nose lights on. Let's get the runway turn off lights on, and you see it also does the camera. We'll do the brakes release. Now that is our famous famous brake release wobble. Doesn't always happen. But there we go, get it back under control. Now, of course, this being X-Plane, we have a system for nose wheel tiller, so that works just fine and feels absolutely lovely to use in the 340. And here it is outside, finally underway. Fuel flow must be through the roof. So on a 320, we burn about 800 kilos an hour sitting on the ground. This one, we're going to be pumping through, well, look at that, the idle fuel flows is 600, and then there's 4 of them. So you can see why it didn't do so well forever. And there's that view. Just love it. Again, a reassuring view. That's a good amount of engines to see out your window, isn't it? See the wings sort of bouncing around as we taxi along. Now you'll see that it's actually running away a bit. This is idle thrust, and it's just moving forward, no problem at all. It's because we're just so light. It's not designed to taxi out with only 40 tons of fuel. That's sort of like a landing fuel figure. Yes, after start, the engine trim wheel, sorry, the trim wheel would be automatically set according to the trim entered in the perf takeoff page, same as the A330E. I'm so sorry to my first officer, but I'm going to have to move them because I can't get to my brakes right now. Right, stand on the brakes. That was the airplane running away from me a bit. I don't want to get this bit wrong. Yeah, we're going up there. Good news. Yeah, so the trim wheel does set on its own, and it's only in the 340-600 because it's obviously so important. Same as the A330E. Good. Nose wheel steering obviously works a little bit. They've modelled that as accurate as you'd expect. So let's get around this turn and head straight up here. Evening, Willen. It's absolutely lovely. Thanks for coming along to join us. It sounds like a bit of a high-pitched whine, but that is just the idle, and jet engines from the front are hideous. They are so noisy. They sort of scream. Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It's just so big. You have to get so used to taxiing it around. Hence that camera. All of that weight turning through that nose wheel. Thanks, Fritz, for the follow. Right. Now it is running away a little bit, but what I'm going to just do is if we jump into the cabin. Now I have adjusted these cameras. These aren't default cameras. But have a look at that. The cabin has the camera, which is something I did not expect to see. So I absolutely love that. Even on the big screens up there, although we're sitting in the premium cabin, I feel that I wouldn't need it. If we jump back into economy. There you go. How good is that? That's just a great little detail. This is sort of, I think this goes downstairs into like the bunks or something like that. I'm not sure. Wait until you taxi Concourse, says John. Yeah, that's going to be a hard one. Garrickson, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. How do you handle turbulence in light aircraft? Rudder in the Airbus, does the autopilot handle it? Yeah, the autopilot can handle turbulence. No, not rudder, just whatever you need to adjust, but rarely rudder. Getting too active on the rudder, especially on a jet airliner, is going to be a bit of an issue. So we don't use the rudder in flight for anything really, except engine failures once we're in the air. That's the toilet, says Santiago. Oh, there you go. Maybe we'll look at them later. I don't think there's toilets in there, but yeah, so this is good. Easier to get your nose wheel on that line. You get that little ground speed showing up. I should have done a brake check, so we'll do the brake check now. As you can see, assigned to the pedals, they animate nicely. And over here, we're looking for no pressure rise. If we turn off the anti-skid switch, just as a 320, alternate braking system now, and look at that, the needles move up to 1000 psi, then modulated as you'd hope. So that all works as expected. Put that back on. System recovers. Look at all those temperatures and pressures. Yeah, there was an Etihad 340 before delivery that it had a bit of a run-in with a wall after. That was a high-power engine run, I think, or something similar. Toilets below the cabin. Can't fit more. DLH has it. There you go. Thanks, Trafalgar, for your follow or subscription. Chris says the magenta squares in the taxi cam are an aid where to place the taxiway centerline during a turn whilst taxiing. Ah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So I assume you'd put it off because we have to oversteer. We can't. If we tried to turn with that nose wheel on the line, it would be a complete disaster. Wouldn't work at all. Look how far out the those engines are basically over the grass. I love it when you're a passenger and you used to see it on the Jumbo and the 380. Although in the 380 you're usually so far away from a window you couldn't see anything. But yeah, blasting the grass around is always good.
Toulouse traffic, speedbird 35 Alpha, takeoff, runway 14.
T says Ovidiu. So there's also F. We found out that F worked as well. But thanks Ovidiu for the info. Yeah, I tried a few different letters, but I didn't find the right one when I was experimenting. Thanks for the subscription to Gamer and Basim. Right, now let's do a flight control check. Should automatically bring up the page. There it is. See both ailerons moving. It works just fine. Let's go and enjoy that from here as well. There they go. Lots and lots of roll spoilers, but as ever, animated just beautifully. Got all the right pipes and so on sitting behind it. Great stuff. Elevator up, down. Rudder. There is a rudder disconnect. I've just realised I haven't assigned it, so let's do a bit of nose wheel rudder. There we go. Right, left. All good. Okay, I can leave the camera on for a little bit. What else can we do while we're here? We can, having done the flight controls, put the radar, auto. Now this is again an old one, but I'm not sure what sort of radar they'd have, but it does work. TCAS to TARA, and up here. Right, auto brake. This is different. we are going to put it to, we don't press this one. This is all for landing. We've got low, disarm, low, 234, which is great because you'll see I can actually adjust that. Look at that. It works with the TCA perfectly. Although, funnily enough, disarm doesn't. I must need to reassign disarm for now. But there's a takeoff button. Press that. RTO arm. Nice. Separate button. I like it. Takeoff config test. This also tests for the CG and the trim to make sure you've got it all set right because they're so worried about tail strikes. But that does work. So, there we go. I think we're pretty much ready to go. I do really like having that camera. I think that's a great little touch. Andy, hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming to moderate. Sorry if I missed you earlier. Such a shame they stopped production on so many 4-engine planes. Yeah, they just weren't efficient, and the 340 has had a relatively short lifespan. I mean, this plane didn't fly, the 340-600, until 2000. I have it written down, don't worry. I've got the Wikipedia facts. April 2001 was the first flight, and now it's already basically gone. Can you believe it? Now, let's not miss... No, it's the next one. Good stuff. Thanks, Gabriel, David, for your follows. Roy Marks, did I say thank you to Roy Marks for the 10 euros? I really appreciate it. And Patrith, so sorry Patrith, I'll just run it again. I do apologise. Patrith says, really like the calm way you comment your videos. Amazing ILS tutorial lately as well. Thanks a lot. You're very welcome, Patrith. Glad you enjoyed it, and thanks for coming along, and thanks so much for donating to the channel. Really very kind. I'm so sorry I missed that the first time round. Yeah, I do apologise, but thanks so much, and thanks for coming along today. Here we go then. Cat 2, 3. Don't go down there. We'll run out of room for a lot of things. Now, is there anything else we wanted to do? Oh, you can see we've gone off the centre line. Let's try... Oh, is that the Cat 1? We're not going to make it around there. Lots of heavy aircraft out there today. Ah, we can't do the turn. We'll wait until we're actually going. So I'm guessing I need to get the nose past it until the dot's on it there. Parking brake on. Sorry to the easy behind. So now we can turn, and hopefully that will keep that main gear near the centre. RPBC, thanks for the subscription. Right, so they're going. Let's do the before takeoff checklist. Flight controls checked. Flight instruments are checked. Briefing is... Let's make sure we've done the briefing. I'll put this back to Captain. So we've got a departure going the other way, 14 right, which is the correct runway, 14 right in here, heading south, making a right turn background, climbing up to flight level 70. We're going to have the packs on. We are going toga. It did say packs off, but that's optional. Actually it's not. The performance is calculated with packs off, but I'm going to leave them on for this one. Funnily enough, just the 2 packs, because I was going to say it'd be a bit complicated doing all 4. And then we're going to climb up to flight level 70, MSA in here, 2,900 feet, so we'll keep an eye on that. That's pretty much it. Takeoff rotation, that's what I wanted to show you. So this has a rotation law because of the risk of a tail strike obviously being so long. It has different pitch limits to the other long-haul Airbus, or most other Airbuses, being such a long one. It has a pitch oral shout out, which will shout pitch pitch on takeoff and landing. The limits on takeoff start at 9.5 degrees, so we can't go above 9.5, but as the airplane lifts into the air, that will actually increase to 14 degrees during the takeoff, only on the 340-600. So you'll see the red arrow once we're taking off, or sorry, the amber arrow pointing down saying don't go above this. Is it red? I think it might be red. Anyway, just like on the 321, a little down arrow to tell us don't go above this. It starts about the 10 degree line, and then as the airplane gets its weight off some of the wheels, that will actually start to move up to 14, and that's how we're going to get it in the air. This book can't be sat flat on its wheels though to get up to the 14. So that's what we're going to do. Right, going to wait for the Speedbird to go. Toulouse traffic, Manta 222, lining up runway 14 right behind the departing Speedbird.
Toulouse traffic, Spirit 375, heavy 8030, clear
right.
14 right, Toulouse traffic.
Let's get all the lights on. Ding the cabin crew.
Speedbird to Alpha, passing 14 right.
There goes the Speedbirds. So we'll follow them on. Let's put the camera back. Let's see how that works for us. So anyway, we've done the briefing. Flap setting config 1 plus F green. Config 1 blue in here. V1, VR, V2, flex temp. We've got set. I'll just cheat and use that one. 158, 165, climb level 152. And we're going toga. So all the clicks forward. ATC is set and ECAM memo, takeoff no blue. Low line, takeoff runway 14 right. Camera crew is advised. TCAS is TARA. Engine start selector is going to stay in norm. Packs are going to stay on. That's the before takeoff check is complete. We're ready to go. Let's turn it around. So if we keep that magenta dot somewhere on that line, you guys are saying that should work. Yeah, that's not bad, is it? Very clever. So that little dot on the right of the nose wheel, if we keep it there, you'll see that it's actually keeping the main gear in the right place. That's a great little tip. I was wondering what they were for. So we've gone a bit wide there, keep it turning. Very clever. They think of these things, don't they? Plum wants to go back to the terminal. After you, Nigel, says John.
Traffic spanner 4505 on the base turn.
One landing light switch, nice and easy. Yeah, I agree. Oh, someone turning base. Hopefully there's not onto this runway. Right, now this is a bit harder. I'm not going to follow that yellow line to line up because it's a lead off line. They're not used for leading on. So how are we going to do this? Look at that. Oh, let's hope this works. Thankfully we've got engines on the left, so we can just use those to help us around. Long haul pilots take forever to do anything anyway, whenever you see them.
453, ready to line up behind the departing A340.
That's not bad, but not perfect. We're definitely not totally lined up. We're sitting slightly pointing to the left. Let's put this back to where it should be. Right, are we ready to go? Are you all ready to go? Checklist is complete. Lights are on. We're going to go toga takeoff, and away we go. Being careful with that rotation. Just zoom in on there. Manta 222 taking off. Toulouse runway 14 right. And Ryan Wang, I must thank you for the super chat very shortly, so I do apologise. I'll get to you once we're in the air. Right, half side stick down. Let's start the chrono.
4505 on the LS1 to right Toulouse. We've got about 10 dm to go.
10 dm. Okay, let's get out of the way.
We're going to slow down to a minimum close speed.
50%. Brakes released. Toga. Man, Toga, SRS runway. Order thrust is blue and armed. You can hear those engines have reverted to not screaming and now a bit more of a roar, which is very nice. 100 knots, side stick to neutral. As far as I'm aware, that's all standard across them. Slight headwind here, so I'm glad we took the 14 runway instead. See that red down arrow now. V1 rotate. It reads it out as well. I'm just holding the side stick in the position where it is. And see how it's moved up now as the airplanes come weight off wheels. Positive climb. Gear up. Oh, not that much. There's another 320. And there's nav. Let's enjoy the wheels all being tucked away. Such a complicated system, and it takes ages. Absolutely ages. And yeah, all done, all away, and off we go. Going to climb, 2 clicks back. Thrust climb, order thrust. This and now you wouldn't even know now. It's just a 320. It feels exactly the same. I'm going to put autopilot 1 in because we need to obviously discuss a few things. Flap retraction, we did a flap 1 takeoff, so I'm just going to wait until we're above the S. I checked with the 330 pilot and they said that it was all the same. We need 320 sim pilot doing the question like SpongeBob's pirate. Are you ready, kids? There's the S. Flaps to 0. John says it was very quiet. It would be quiet at the front because they're just so far behind us, I suppose. And it was a famously quiet airplane. So flaps to 0. Green dot 220, no problem here. I'd imagine that would look a little tighter on a normal departure. And we're going to set standard because we're going up to flight level 70. Now we're going to the first turn. So very good climb performance here, similar to a 320, but remember, it's because we're too light. Normally you could have hundreds of tons of fuel on board, so that isn't quite representative. And just to prove, let's select a vertical speed. So I'm going to wind it into the window, and then I'm going to pull. And look at that, speed, vertical speed, 1600. I really like this pull, push, gesturing thing. Very good. I mean, the old system was good too, so you can always swap it back to that, but I actually have really grown to like this one, and I imagine it is very good in VR. There's our 1,000 feet to go. Thanks for the follow anyway, K-Bell. If you are watching on YouTube, do please leave a like. It makes a massive difference to the channel, and I hope you've been enjoying it. Obviously, if you aren't enjoying it, don't feel obliged, but if you are, A like always is appreciated. And that's us, off and away. So we had a slightly unrealistic takeoff there because we're just so light, but that's going to change. We're going to land at a relatively normal weight, quite a heavy landing weight actually, so we'll get the best of both worlds here. It's Dylan, thanks, glad you're enjoying it. Matthew Presley, good to see you. Matthew says, never heard the engines of my bird from the cockpit, the joys of the T-tail. Ah, very good, yeah, Matthew Presley flies the CRJ, so that's got engines right at the back, very quiet. Yeah, the Dash 8 was not like that, you very much heard the engines. Although sadly, because they ran at the same RPM for most of the flight, you couldn't really tell what they were doing. There we go, you had to sort of listen to like the electronic whine. 6,000 kilograms an hour per engine is exactly why this airplane is, again, not so favourable these days. There's someone climbing out of Toulouse, so we're gonna hopefully join up behind them. Let's stay down here for a bit, just for this part of the flight. And I'm just going to do the after takeoff climb checklist. So landing gear is up, flaps are at 0, packs, oh, that's what we should have done. We can disarm the spoilers. So flaps are retracted, packs are on, bow ref is standard on both. After takeoff climb check is complete. Right, now let me just say a very big thank you to Chen Timothy for the $150 NT. Ooh, where's that? That's a new one on me, but thank you so much. Really, really kind, really generous, really appreciate it, Chen. Chen says, congrats on the 50k subs. Great stream so far. Must sleep now as it's well past midnight here. Glad I'm not missing the takeoff. Thanks, Chen. Really appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Thanks so much for supporting the channel, and thanks for the congrats. Really appreciate it. Great to have you here today. And I'm glad you got the takeoff. The stream will be on YouTube, obviously, straight after this, but thank you so much. And Ryan Wang has super chatted $6.99 Canadian dollars. Really kind, Ryan. Ryan says, hey, this might be an off-topic question, but do you know what's the little open flap at the rear right of the 321 NEO, like the little slot below the door? That will be the outflow valve on the 321 NEO. It is on here as well. I think they modelled it as well. Oh, come on. Why can't I get my camera around? But I'm not entirely sure where they are on this. But yeah, it's the outflow valve. So the airplane pressurizes by pumping in lots of air. And what you can see there is the valve that modulates that air being allowed out of the airplane, and that's how we can adjust pressurization. Yobo, greetings to you. Thanks for coming along. It's new Taiwan dollars. There we go. Thanks, Speckle Boy. And thank you again for that very kind donation to Chen. Really, really appreciate it. And Ryan. Very kind. Thank you both. Can you show the whole cabin? Right, we'll go into the cabin shortly. Let's get up to our cruise. We're going to cruise today at flight level 300. Let's just get a couple of wing views in. There we go, Toulouse just passing behind us. You can adjust the wing flex in the ISCS to your likings. I have it set to about, I think it's about default. Santiago Perez, good to see you. I don't know where we'll fly, but we'll be going there supersonic. That's the plan for the 50k celebration. Let's go up to flight level 300 then. This plane can go up to 41,000 feet, but we're not going to do that today. Thrust climb, open climb. Heads out to flight level 300. Stop the timer. Next checklist is the approach checklist. Classic Airbus. Yeah, there's that fuel flow really starting to add up. Good question, Bernard. Bernard says, would you say Manta 222 heavy to ATC? Only on your initial call. So we would attach heavy to the call sign on the first call, and then we can drop it. It's just so that the unit you've now transferred to realises that they're dealing with a heavy aircraft for wake separation. Alpha Originals, the A340 is fantastic. I absolutely love it. But I am very biased. It's one of my favourite aircraft ever. Is the bar open? The bar will open in 400 feet. Yeah, I think Virgin Atlantic had some very nice features in their 340s. Speckle Boy says, love the 340, wish I could fly it again, but I highly doubt it. Flew with Virgin, but they retired their entire 340. Yeah, this is it. It's such a shame, and I was really hoping to get a chance to fly it as well. There's 105 climbing 300. Let's get those landing lights off. Should have done the nose wheel lights, forgot about those. There we go. And let's put the seatbelt signs off. The bar is open. So, cabin. Maybe we'll get up to the cruise, because I'm sure I'll mess something up if I don't. It's supposed to say heavy whenever you're on the ground or involved with a runway, at least in the US. There you go. Thanks, Lauren. So that's a new one on me. I've not flown a heavy airplane, so I just don't know these things. Total guessing. But yeah, so we'll look at the cabin shortly. I'm using the Thrustmaster TCA for this one. Lauren B's looking forward to Q4 XP. Me too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Friendly reminder for jet gross weight in the MCDU. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes, I'm assuming that's jettison. Right, so this is... I knew this Costinex was no good. I don't want to go with that Costinex. I want to go for Costinex 0. We've got no rush here. 320 knots is plenty fast enough. That hasn't made a difference. That might be adjusted later then. Yeah, it should be 0 now for the whole thing. This is a quick aeroplane. Climbing at 320 is pretty impressive, and it will cruise up maximum cruise or operating speed of Mach 0.86. For context, in the Airbus 320 we go to a maximum of about 0.8, and that's pretty sporty. Any turbulence we wouldn't really be doing that. So yeah, this is a quick one. Typical fuel flow in the 320 during climb. Well, it just varies so much. During the climb, I can't tell you. The 320 burns. It's basically 3 tons for the first sort of hour because of the climb and takeoff, and then about 2 tons an hour after that. Drew says the cabin rest area should be down some stairs. Yeah, I think that's what those stairs are. I don't think they're toilets. If you're an open climb, maybe that's right. No, it should work. Yeah, I could try managed climb, but climb. I suspect that's something I haven't spotted yet. I hadn't tried to change that in the climb yet, but there we go. So what's this cruise speed going to be? Sometimes air traffic says, what are you going to cruise at? So they can figure where to fit you in. There you go, 280 knots, 0.74. So we're going to slow down by quite a bit when we get up there. Oh, no, we're not. No, hold on. Yeah, we're climbing at 0.72, so shortly it will transfer to 0.72, which is going to reach pretty quickly, actually. Look at the climb rate, 3,500 feet per minute. It's a powerful machine, this. That is ridiculous. It's got here so quickly. CPDLC does not work yet, I'm afraid, Michael. Well, not that I've managed to. Tacross said, can we get a long haul stream when fly-by-wire release the A380? Yeah, of course, yeah. We have done long haul streams, but I'm sure we could use this as well. Cytherea says, I was lucky enough to fly the 340-600 to Germany on Sri Lankan Airlines. I remember coming back to Sri Lanka, I remember we had to circle for a few minutes due to a threat at the airport. Oh dear, oh, that sounds like a long day out, yeah. I've had the impressions are, I absolutely love it. I have flown this for a couple of days, or not much, I must confess, but I've been trying it out to try and see if I could help, provide any feedback and so on. The ToLiss team are they've got such a nice way of doing things, and they've been so open to discussion and feedback, so very, very pleased about that. And yeah, they've been absolutely brilliant, but I've frankly struggled. That's the first thing I've spotted, and I'm going to find out I've done something wrong, or that these numbers are actually right, because we've already proved that with the takeoff flex. What else we should do? RadNav is already clear, but we can get rid of the fixed info. So we took an extra 10 tons of fuel. So what I'm going to do is try and jettison 5 tons, but I have no idea what the system is meant to work like. I know how to make it work, happen, but I don't know how to actually. I'm definitely not following any procedure when I do it. Should maybe cruise at Mach 0.78 or so. The A320's behind you. Don't get too upset. Imagine that. Then I'm getting upset at a wide body for being too slow. Yeah. So this is just a much faster aeroplane. When we're in the 320 and you see a long hauler, they just whiz by. Yeah, whiz by. So the screen above the MCDU is the DCDU. This is used for CPDLC, but as I said, it's at the moment a work in progress. And there's a few things on the MCDU menu. The work in progress, you see. Oh. Lionel, thanks for your subscription. Jamming TV, thanks for following. Mark, thanks for the subscription. And Amtrak, thanks for following. And Alpha Originals, I think I said Alpha Originals. So yeah, we got there. If you start engine 1, then engine 2, does this not create an unwelcome asymmetric thrust? Not really, unless you're sitting on melting ice. I don't think it's going to matter, because after all, on the 320 we have 50% of the thrust on one side when we start up engine 2, and then engine 1 is on the other side, and it's fine. So Andrea F says, hi Captain, I hope you're keeping well. I can't wait to watch you flying a long haul flight with this wonderful bird. Yeah, we'll have to do it, won't we? Look at that, 2,800 feet per minute as we head up to 300, no stress. I imagine those 320s are going to actually, although we've definitely outclimbed them, I imagine they're going to sit a bit higher than us. Simroof is giving me quite a low level. The DCDU could be used for putting up METAR. It's very useful. Oh yeah, I haven't seen it before. Can you show the table again? Yeah, of course. That would have come out at about 10,000 feet. It's got these little rubber markers and this little pen holder. But you've got to be careful. I never actually leave my pen in it, because if you do and you close it, it smashes the pen to pieces as you try and shut it here. So yeah, it's yeah, not great for that. There we go. Out star, done. Out cruise. Away you go. Let's get some sunblinds down. Don't think this one works. No, not that one. Massive great windows. See some scratching and wear on this. I like that. Different textures. Like I say, in general, the textures in the virtual cockpit are a step up over the 321, sorry, that I've got. I haven't used the 319. Oh, should have turned that on as well. There we go. There we go. Oh no, actually no, we don't want it to transmit. We normally sit in the middle. There we go. Good stuff. Garrickson says, if you've ever flown to JFK, I might have found you talking to ATC on YouTube somewhere. Sadly, I have not flown into JFK, so that's not me, but we do all sound the same, famously. So, yeah. AC455, good to see you. Thanks for coming and moderating. And we're not doing Mach 2 yet, I'm afraid. We're doing a rather leisurely decimal 75, which is slow even for... well, slow for this aeroplane, certainly. Look at the wings. Just so beautiful. I think this is a really pretty aeroplane. I understand that not everyone does, but I think it is. Funnily enough, compared to 340, 300 and 200, it's actually got a more swept wing. This has a 31.1 degree sweep. Those are slightly... Can you guys hear me, by the way, when I'm outside the aeroplane? Yeah, this is slightly more swept. Don't know why, but it is. Jumbo Jet obviously has one of the most swept wings. I'm sorry, what? Alright. Oh, sorry about that. Whoops. Right. Hopefully that's a bit better. So sorry. Yeah, that was worse. Right, so the reason I wanted to lower it outside, let's lower it right down. Oh, for goodness sake. Sorry about that. That's my software not helping me out. That is really bad. Sorry. Right, let's put that there. Let's leave that alone. Right, I'm not touching that again. Right. Well, to make up for it, I'm going to bore you with some Wikipedia facts about this aeroplane. So this has a 63.5 metre wingspan. For context, it's about 36 on the 320. So you're looking at almost double the wingspan, but not quite. It's also longer than it is. It's a longer fuselage than the wingspan. So it's only the shortest 340 had it the other way around. That's straight off Wikipedia. But its length, believe it or not, 75.3 metres. So if we took two 320s, we could line them up side by side, facing away from us here, and it wouldn't be as long as this airplane. It's just huge. Have we got contrails? We haven't got contrails. It's a shame. We're not high enough. What else have I got for you? Cost? What do you think it costs new? I'll only give you a few seconds because I know you're all going to go and Google it like I did. But it's $275 million at launch. It was the most expensive one. Thanks, Clip Edits, for the Party of 4 raid. Appreciate it. Yeah, 41,000 feet ceiling. First flew April 2001, so it didn't have a long service life. A bit like the A380, sadly. But the 340 project originally came about in the late 1980s, just after the 320 project. Designed to sort of replace the A300 series and so on. Of course, designed to compete with the 777, didn't really happen like that. Never made itself economically viable in that sense. And as I said earlier, massive tail strike rate on the 340s when they launched, so they came up with all these different systems. You could indeed buy several Reliant Robins for that. Lauren V, yeah, slightly low, 270 million. It's an expensive one, so you can see why it didn't quite work out. As you can see, terrain radar works just fine. There's no weather out there for it to paint. Away we go. So is a LAV modelled? So yeah, let's start from the front, and then we'll go and do the fuel jettison thing before air traffic control arrive. So here's the front galley. Galley's modelled. Look at that. We've got all the different drinks makers and so on. The toilets are there, but nothing in there. First class or premium class or whatever it is. And then I think some sort of businessy style class. All looking at their cameras. We've got a very good set of passengers today. You're all clearly keen aviation enthusiasts because you've all turned on the camera every single seat, so that's good. Lauren V says, I think I saw a 340-300 going for 6 or 7 mil. Yeah, so that's where the prices have got down to. More toilets, more galleys. It just goes on forever. I don't think there's anything in here. No. More cameras. Huge, great club cabin. Now, I went on a 340 and hear the engine note. Oh, you won't hear it. Why does it keep doing that? I have no idea why it's doing that. I can only apologise. I'm not going to fiddle with that in the outside view again. But yeah, hopefully you let me know how the audio is from inside the airplane. Alex, thank you so much for your 99 super chat. Really appreciate it. Alex says, damn you for getting me addicted to flight sim. Thanks for all the aviation knowledge you shared. You're very welcome. Thanks for coming along and saying so. Great to have you here, Alex. I hope you're doing very well. Great to have you. Yeah, really kind, very generous. So here we go, moving back then. That's the end of the premium stuff. And look at this. Look at the size. It goes on and on forever. It must have been a strange sensation boarding from the front and then walking all the way to your row, where my seat would usually be the very last row. I have been on the 340, and I think I sat somewhere back here in this last cabin, because I remember the rows getting pushed inwards like that. Very strange feeling to sit in those seats. You do feel very far back. I only flew on 2 times A340, says this content is not private, and the first one has a history. After several delays in the departure time, we cancelled boarding and a crew change. We left 5 hours late. Oh dear. And a detour over the Canaries. And I think these are nice seats back here, because you've got 2 at the side. Oh no, it's 2 at the side the whole way. Yeah, I like that. In economy, when you have 2 at the side, that's always good. Now where's that sort of weird down steps? I think that leads to the crew rest. Here it is. Doesn't look like it. Oh, look at that. It does. No, I'm assuming there's nothing in here. No. What's that, screen? Yeah, that's the wheels. shows you how close all these things are in an airplane. You forget you've got airplane parts all around. Wi-Fi hotspot, exit. I don't know where these are toilets. Don't know where the rest area is. Don't know this airplane at all. But here you go. Yeah, a whole little toilet area. Is this so? This is toilets for passengers, is it? I never realised the one we went on didn't have this. That I'm aware of, anyway. So maybe it's not crew. Maybe it's just public toilets. Why would we not go straight up to 410? Because it's more efficient. Yeah, you get less fuel burn, but sometimes sitting at full thrust all the way up there isn't actually worth it. That's why we might not necessarily do it. So you'll do with what your flight plan normally. The most efficient flight level is actually going to be in here. So 3.9 is the optimum, so we could go up to 3.9. But what I'm going to do instead is spend some of that fuel. So T-tank transfer in progress? No. As ever with the ToLiss, all these systems are modelled. I've got so much to learn about this airplane. Tail tank transfer in progress. So it's automatically adjusting the CG based on what we wanted. Again, brilliant, isn't it? That you don't have to do anything. So it's trying to balance the airplane out. Airplanes have a trim tank. Yeah, maybe it's trim tank. The CG is the centre of gravity. And if it's too far forward, airplanes will overburn. If it's too far back, they're unstable. Very dangerous to be unstable, so we don't want that. But also, we don't really want it all the way at the front, or we'll burn too much fuel. And I think that was a problem with the 340 when it launched, 340-600 certainly, because of its extra length. So, what this is doing is putting fuel in the back, because we were a bit nose heavy, and then it can get the CG perfectly efficient. Also, the centre of gravity, you don't want it static the whole flight, if you don't have to, because for takeoff you need it further forward perhaps, whereas in cruise it might be safer to let it go a little bit further back. So the further aft the CG, the more efficient, Matthew Pressey says, absolutely, until it's dangerously far back, so there is a balance. So that fuel goes into the rear tank, then it will come forward again when we need it, all down on its own. I didn't expect it to work on this sector actually. Now let's really confuse it. I've got 34 tonnes, I can safely lose 4 tonnes of fuel, so I'm going to jettison fuel down to 30 tonnes, 30.0. No, I don't know them. Is this something different? What am I supposed to do with it? 31? Is there a number that does work? Something I need to learn. Hopefully we'll get a document for this at some point. I haven't actually got a manual for this airplane, so I am just making it up. So I thought maybe, my guess was, I could put in the fuel that I want remaining. Oh, jettison gross weight. No. I thought maybe I could put in the fuel I want remaining, and then it would alert me on the MCDU when I've done it. Gross weight. Yeah, it says but it says jettison gross weight. Is that the gross weight after jettisoning fuel we want? So we are currently, our gross weight is 2497. So we want 2457. Oh, getting closer. There you go, Matthew Presley's got it. Thanks, Matthew. Always helping me out on streams. Can you guys hear me all right? Just let me know how the audio is now we're inside. I'm so sorry it's been going up and down like that. So, let's get rid of the fuel. No idea what the procedure is. We're not involved in this, but I'm going to arm the jettison by sliding that up, press it on. Probably not supposed to do this while transferring as well, but that's what we're going to do. Sorry, aeroplane. So no messages or anything like that. And then we're going to go activate. So 33, we should drop about 4 tons. On, open. If we look at the fuel page, there it is. Jettisoning, just going out the wings. All engine fuel flow there. It doesn't seem to show us anything else about how much we've jettisoned. Although now that fuel you see is coming straight back from that tail tank. And there it goes. Bye-bye fuel. We wouldn't do this over, well, I've never done it, obviously, but you wouldn't do this over a built-up area or a town, normally. Oh, sorry, the chat, I'm behind on the chat. Audio is an up, sorry. Some people want us to go faster. We will do that indeed. Blue, thanks for your follow. Thanks to all those others who followed on Twitch, really appreciate it. Free shout for the people, exactly. There it goes. It's a nice effect. I do like it. Very 3D. You can even see it from there. Excellent. So that's disappearing out the window. So we want to end up with about just under 30 tons. So I'm wondering what's going to happen. Will it alert me when it sees the gross weight reach 245? Maybe that's what it's going to do. It does get rid of it pretty quickly. It's a jettison in progress. Makes sense. Thanks, Janix, for the follow, and Hans, and Blue. I think if I didn't say Blue as well. Love the chemtrails, says Boeing Boy. There you go. Real chemtrails. Someone ran underneath the bucket. Yeah, it's expensive stuff. And if you've been in the UK the last few weeks, we had a fuel shortage, so this would be a bit devastating to see going on overhead, wouldn't it? It's going to fly by. We haven't done that yet. Look at that, like an air show. It's a really, really good effect. Very impressed. X-Plane's always had quite good particle effects. Indeed, RP Beastie. The tray table, I can tell, is going to be a popular feature. But there you go. Like I say, a few extra animations in this flight deck over some of the others. Other ToLiss aircraft, I mean. 245.7. Maybe we just write that there for our own reminder. We're about to reach it. 245.7. Will it do something? Will it turn off? That'd be good, wouldn't it? There it is. Look at that. Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. It's done it. All on its own. So even though it still says on. See, this is just what I mean with the ToLiss. Just the level of detail. Now we have 30 tons of fuel. Off. Let's not lose any more. Off. Done. Now you wouldn't do that routinely. That is obviously an emergency situation. You wouldn't even get rid of fuel just because you're a bit overweight. You'd normally just burn it off a normal way because it's quite a risky and unusual thing to do. 11 Clark, thank you so much for your £4.49 super chat. Really appreciate it. That's very kind. 11 Clark says, "Hey 320, I've been following your videos for years." It does feel like years, doesn't it? We've only done 1.5, but it has been over 1 year indeed. And finally jumped into VATSIM thanks to you. I'm the Easy 320 pilot behind you, following into Heathrow. Thanks so much, 11 Clark. Really appreciate the super chat. Very kind of you. That's great to hear. I love it when people have got into flight simulation. All the videos have helped them. So thank you so much, and thanks for coming along, and thanks for flying along. I'm glad you've been enjoying VATSIM. It's great fun, isn't it? So yeah, I am working on a VATSIM tutorial. It's just taking a bit longer than expected. I've said that many times. You've all heard that over and over. John Padfield says, "It's an Airbus, of course it did it itself." Exactly. So yeah, thank you 11 Clark for that donation. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you've been enjoying the videos. Ahmad said, please, I would love your recommendation. I've been searching for a long-haul payaway aircraft for XP11. So as you have an experience in the sim and since you're a real-life pilot, what is the best? Well, I love the Airbus. I love the 340. So this is my favourite long-haul in X-plane at this moment. I've only tried this and the Flight Factor 350. 350 is very nice as well, but I've got a real thing for the 340. And ToLiss obviously provides us with so many nice little features. No. That's the FO arriving again to walk right over the keys. Please don't. Oh dear. So what's happened is I've got my checklist out and then the TCA and everything, and she's jumping on the desk, and then to get around all of those, she's routing right over the keyboard, which is utterly terrifying and heart-stopping to watch. So there we go. We have indeed turned it off one, but it did automatically stop. But yeah, we turned it off now. So that is good news. Shamrock is better than the A300. So the A300, yeah, I suppose the A300 is the other long haul. I haven't flown the A300 much. I'm a big fan of the Beluga, but that's not. I wouldn't class the Beluga as a long haul aircraft. CEO says, is this plane worth the $340,600 price tag on X-Plane Store? I'm not sure if I could get this or a Lamborghini. Yeah, that was the quite clever price they put it up at originally. Right, that's all done. Success. Landing with 22 tons of fuel. That's more than we can fit into a 320 on a normal day, so that's pretty good. Schwig says, you mentioned getting a desk mount for that new side stick. Do you use it for your TCA as well? I haven't fitted the desk mount yet, but that is to come. Is it possible to create the intermediate waypoint, says Guy? Yeah, good question. There you go. It is. And that's back there. So what I did there was I typed in a completely random set of coordinates based on the CNA. So I did, it's called place, bearing, distance. So I put in CNA, VOR, then a bearing, so the radial out, and then a distance. And then if you enter it, it will actually make a point there. So that's a pilot waypoint. So you can. Look at that. But I'm going to erase that because I don't actually want to turn around and go back there. We should have this set to airports really for this point. Camera I think still works. I'm assuming that it's attached. Oh no, it doesn't work in flight. Yeah, that is funny. Can't get it in flight in the flight deck. Just the cabin gets that luxury. Thanks Jetback Away for the follow. I don't think the leg rests are animated. Sorry Guru. Yeah, but yeah, Airbus is very, very luxury for pilots. You've got footrest here. I actually really like these, but even better these when you're really going to stretch out, these lower down, so you have somewhere to rest your feet without accidentally kicking a rudder pedal, which would not be great. Don't forget the 321 XLR. It's a long haul. That's true. Lauren V says we have indeed flown the A321 XLR. No, this has a special place in my heart, no doubt. Shall we accelerate a bit? Let's put some speed into this thing. Start off with decimal 8.4, see how fast we can go. Displays on a lower ECAM. Ah. Which one? Is there a way to make it display on the lower ECAM? Ah, there we go. That did work. What was I doing wrong earlier? Anyway, there you go. The tail, but obviously the nose gear is sitting up in the bay, so that's not going to be much good. Oh, no, hold on. No, it is working because it's underneath the fuselage, isn't it? Pointing at the nose gear. Cameras are far too advanced for me, clearly. Thanks to Stick1 for the follow and Adrian for the subscription. Mac 8.2, here we go, Renato. It's happening. There's 8.4. How's that going to suit you? Should we try 8.5? I think we can do 8.5 if we really wanted. Don't know how those 320s behind us are feeling now. The APU fuel burn is modelled indeed. Yep. It shows us... oh, well, it says 40 now. It was over 100 when we started out. MMO is 8.6, which would make sense. We're at 8.5, so 8.6 can be the fastest. No name says, I wish we could make cameras work for the R340 Microsoft Flight Simulator. Oh, 340 Microsoft Flight Simulator. Very nice. Warren Smiths. It was 3 minutes behind. There you go. No worries. Was watching another YouTuber and learned about asymmetrical power relationships within the crew, says B World Righteousness. So remember, Captain, to respect the input of the first officer. Yes, indeed. That is the slide stick priority, and it will point over if there's other slide sticks being used at the same time. Yeah. How long left? Oh, no. I knew I'd forget something. Unbelievable. If you're new to the channel today, I can only apologise. That was my fault. I did make the overlay, have you noticed, to say 340-600. That's not as simple as it sounds. I'm sure there is a simple way to do it, but I don't know it, so it takes me ages. So we're now storming along. 30 knot headwind, ground speed of 470 knots. Anyway, we're in no rush. Slow it down again. Don't want to burn all that fuel. Now we've ditched a load of fuel, and then we're going to end up not having enough. Do all engines have different EGTs? Yeah, they're ever so slightly different. A couple of degrees here and there. Yep. You know, it's funny. I have seen. I see this comment a lot in the flight sim community. So it makes me wonder, because people like seeing different numbers on the engine display. They don't like them all being too perfect, because of course all engines are different. So you expect them to be ever so slightly different. But I was sitting in an Airbus and I was looking at the engines, and they both had exactly the same numbers across the board. Fuel flow, N1, N2, EPR, it was amazing. And I was sitting there going, oh, so it can happen. It's not completely unrealistic if they do all match. I imagine obviously less chance with 4, but yeah, they're all slightly different. 87.5, 87.4, 0.5, 0.6. Yeah, it's cool. Guru, see you next time. Thanks for coming along. Excessively Salty, thanks for the follow. And ENGM Controller, thanks for the follow as well. Excellent. Is that Leeds? Oh, have I forgotten that? Is the 767-300 better than the 330? I don't know how to. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one. Must have won the Airbus lottery with that aircraft. Yeah, exactly. It was a good one. Probably too new, so the engines were the same age. How do you calculate how long is each waypoint? Once upon a time, I would do that based on the ground speed, and you just calculate it. But I've got to be honest, we don't need to. We get a much more accurate readout from here. This takes into account the wind and everything, so I can just press the cross arrow. What am I doing? Not the cross arrow. I don't need the cross arrow. It's written on here on the first page, making my life complicated. 13, 12, 14, 17, 19, and that'll be spot on. You can fly for 3 hours and these numbers won't change. It's remarkable. And then your landing time will be like a minute, within a minute. It's just incredible, assuming there's no air traffic holding or anything like that. Thanks, Edwin, for the subscription. Max IS is 340, is 85, says Renato. It would depend, obviously, on your altitude, where the indicator speed would only work on Mach numbers up here. Does lateral offset work? Oh, we so rarely use this on short haul. It's not a vertical revision. Oh, it's a lateral revision. Offsets. Work in progress. So at the moment, no. Someone else will be able to tell me if we can do it on the 321. Notice well, north reference is currently set to magnetic. If we press that, it goes to true. You'll notice there's basically no difference. But true north points at the top of the world, the top of the North Pole. Magnetic north points at magnetic north, which moves around all the time. At the moment in the UK, I think it's about 1 degree variation, so it's basically the same, unless you're flying more than 1 degree accurate. As you can see, it's pretty much the same over France. But if you're right up north, i.e. you're flying over at the Arctic, let's say you wanted to fly from London to Los Angeles and you go over northern Greenland, when you're up there, magnetic north might be in front of you or slightly south of you, and it can get really confusing. So eventually you'll start using north reference. Now how routine that is in long haul, I don't know. I haven't done it. But that's why there is a north reference option on a long haul aircraft. They don't expect you to take your 320 up into the Arctic Circle, but the 340 is more likely to happen. So yeah, that's models. Great. I think it applies to both sides at once. Yeah, there you go. True. What else can we do? Auto brake. Yeah, so auto brake is different. I'm going to use my little rotary switch. I'm just going to go for 3. There's also 4 and high. 3 sounds like plenty. And then it lights up decel in this little one here. Slightly different setup to the 320. Custom X01 just because we're not in a rush today. We could increase it. It was at 118. Let's go for 50. Just wanted to make sure I didn't run out of time on these short sectors. It also will give probably a very high descent speed. 320 knots in the descent is just too high. Yeah, we won't do that. So probably time to start setting up the arrival. Chat about the airplane. What else do I want to talk about? So we talked about the pitch limits. So for landing, 8.4 degree is where the pitch limit's going to be, and it will shout at you pitch pitch if you pull back too fast. It's all modelled, very good. The pitch pitch call out. You can get a pitch pitch call out on an Airbus even without exceeding the limit. What it will do is it will look at the rate of change of your pitch, the input on the side stick, and it may decide to add that in and shout at you before you reach it. So it's very good. What else did I have? Rotational, auto pitch set. Trim disagree ECAM, it does give you. Fuel dumping we've looked at, camera. Oh yeah, the tail strike ECAM works. Ask me how I know. You can get an ECAM on here that says tail strike, unique to the 340-600. It's got a little sensor. The reason you have that is because you obviously don't want to not realise you've had a tail strike, and this is a big airplane, it'd be easy not to notice. Get in the air and try and climb and fly all the way over the North Pole and then realise you've got a hole in the airplane. So it's got an ECAM for that. Yeah. So look at that hydraulic page. In fact, let's look at the systems pages in general. Lots and lots of numbers. Here's the air page. Thanks for the subscriptions and follows. Really appreciate it. That's interesting. Intermediate pressure. Oh yeah, intermediate pressures are being used, yeah, as you'd expect. But they're only feeding into 1 pack each, so just 2 packs. I didn't quite expect that. That's incredibly similar to what I'm used to. Here's the electric AC, so 2 separate systems pages for the electrics on this airplane. We've got AC, and the AC bus bars, 4 generators, and then DC batteries. It was APU battery, yeah, there you go, the APU has its own battery indication. We don't get to see that on the 320. In fact, I don't think the 320 APU has its own battery. I think it uses the aircraft batteries. But this APU is probably a bit too big to do that. I imagine that's why. Total guess. Total guess. Totally assumed. Here's the green, blue, yellow, and then that green has the extra pump over there. And then another shut-off valve. Don't know what CB is. Circuit breakers, I'm assuming, depending on how many but pulled back there. Or wherever they're hidden. That's my guess. APU off. Wow, wow. So the 320, we have 2, even in the 321, just the forward and aft, and then the cockpit. Look at that. Very good, very fine control. But I'm assuming the cabin has control over most of that, because we have 1. So we have less control of it up here. That's how funny. I suppose it's for these extra hot air trim valves that let it adjust each one a little bit more carefully, depending on where the sun and so on is, how busy each cabin is. That is remarkably similar to the 320. Hard to tell the difference. And now there you go. It's getting that fuel out of the back, putting it all back into those wing tanks. Good. All looks good. The rest is the same. Clear, recall, nothing exciting there. Take a config and emergency cancel. Indeed, Vuti2. I do like this one a lot. Thanks for joining us. Is it possible to customize the wing flex? It is indeed. If you don't like it, or you want to see more or less of it, general settings, wing flex from gear bumps, and screen background glow can all be adjusted. How would you notice a tail strike without message from the airplane? Well, it's hard. That's a hard one. You'd have to hope that you realise you've done something wrong on takeoff, but then deciding whether or not that's caused damage is very hard. Maybe get a runway inspection, but even that, if you're that uncertain, it might be time to come back and land. You'd have to have done something quite unusual on takeoff, but yeah. Captain Jamo says, seeing your video on the 350 and learnt a ton really helped me get to grips with it. I have a question though, how would you input altitudes at waypoints using the screens and not the FMC? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, is that I think that wasn't modelled in the flight factor, but I'm not sure about that. I think you had to do it through the old style one, if I remember rightly, but yeah, someone else will know. Release price? I don't know, I'm afraid, Addicted to Nitro. I don't know. The CBs are downstairs in the avionics bay, says Chris on the 340 not a copy. Thanks so much, Chris. Great to know. It's amazing. We always get someone in the chat who knows what they're talking about. It's so great to have you join us, so thanks so much. Can you adjust the brightness of the light for the high speed, etc. on the FCU? Oh. Yep, there you go. Not much change, but it does get a bit brighter and darker, probably more noticeable at night. First officer is thinking about leaving. She's been very quiet today. Yep, she's bored. Off she goes. She'll come back probably on final approach, and that's when she's going to jump on the keyboard. So if you are enjoying the video, do please leave a like, and I'm going to be shameless and do that. So if you'd like any merchandise, if you enjoy the channel, there are mugs and so on available. Thanks for the subscription, Mohammed. First officer is thinking about running across the keyboard. Yeah, she runs across the keyboard on the way in, and then she walks out quite happily, very innocently. Michael John says, very impressed with this, equally impressed with the 321. ToLiss certainly know what they're doing with high fidelity aircraft. Exactly. I agree with that statement very much so. So, oh, why doesn't that work? What have I done? Ah, thank goodness, I've done that before. Let's load up the charts. So yeah, so as I said, my overall impressions of this compared to the 321. If you've got the ToLiss 321, 319, I think this is going to be exactly what you expect, with a better cockpit than I expected, and the actual aircraft is just a joy. They just absolutely nailed the feel of a heavy aircraft. You feel like you're in something different, and that's really nice. And that's what they got right with the 321. So it's no surprise, but it's great that they've captured that with this one. And then it just works. I absolutely love the ToLiss for this stuff. It just works really nice. And this is a pretty unique proposition to have such a large 340 into a simulator. I know there is a 340-500. I've not used that one, but this one's very nice. Look at that. London, not quite so nice. 16 degrees and raining. Still pretty warm for this time of year. So arrival. We said Roxog. Oh, we're not going by Bigham, we're going by Ockham. Right plan. Approach fire. Now, as I've always said, it should be automatic. But there we go. Ockham. Let's go to plan. Oh, look at that engine. That's interesting. Not seen that before. Why is that? Did it not automatically transfer over? Is it... so the switching panel has an extra button here, FM, and audio. The audio one in the 320 is up on the overhead panel. So it's funny. So there's actually less switching buttons, but that's because I assume you can move the engine display using this instead. I see. So that's why they don't need it down there. Right, anyway, plan. Learn something new. Let's just check this has worked. Hazel, in we go. Zoom in again. Ockham 8 as we head outbound. Good stuff. And Ockham looks like the holding point. Let's put it in. 328 right hand turns. Let's check the holds work. This is after all London, so we would expect to hold at some point. 328 right hand turns. Insert. There we go, little arrow to show that that's coming up. So we've got that inserted. Let's go to constraint. Flight level 70 at Ockham, 220 knots. Now, what is the clean speed? 215. You see it's only changed by 5 or 7 knots in the whole flight. So that's because we are now actually going to be quite heavy for landing. And there's that CG. They're very worried about the CG. I assume because it moves forward and backwards depending on the fuel during the flight. Yeah, clever stuff. Good. And then we're going to go towards the RLS. So just finishing up the flight plan check. After Ockham, out and background. So we've done 9 left. Do we have a controller over at Heathrow? Or an ATIS? We do. Heathrow ATIS. I'm run out of space. All my Wikipedia facts taking up space on my notepad. So we're going to go with information delta. Transition level 70. No surprise there. And service 1809. Oh no, 9 knot crosswinds. That's no good for me on a long haul airplane. So there's the excuse. It's varying around. It's a bit of a tailwind. 8 kilometers visibility and light rain. Broken 500. Oh dear, it's a really miserable evening. Temperature 16 degrees. QNH 1014. That's information delta. Right, so we are probably going to have to speak to them at some point. Do you practice flying holdings by hand in a real airline? Asked Thorsten. No. We don't do that. And if we were, let's say we're in a situation where the aircraft is so downgraded, we need to hold manually because the computers aren't capable of doing it. We could do it, but it's incredibly time consuming. So we'd nearly always just try and get vectors off air traffic. But we could do it if we absolutely need to. We certainly don't practice on the real airplane for the fun of it because it's just not very fun. Put it that way. You could do, I suppose, but also remember, doing it by hand with a navigation display is quite easy. You can just follow that. The real trick is doing it raw data. So that's what I mean when I say, let's say the autopilot was broken, then yeah, we could fly the hold by hand. But we just follow the navigation display or the flight directors. And even if they're not working, we could follow the nav display. If you want to fly a raw data hold using needles, then that is very time consuming and capacity zapping. You try and work through a technical problem, which presumably is why you're in this situation, and manage a hold. It's just going to be a pain. So you'll probably just try and get vectors from air traffic control to keep you safe, because you'll be the priority by that point if you've got such a critical failure that you can't even hold. That may have been a long answer to a question. Oh, we've been disconnected. Don't know what happened there. And let's just check the runway in use. They're not giving the runway in use. Can't see it. Not sure what's going on there. Vuti2, thank you so much for a £20 donation. That's very kind, Vuti, very generous. Vuti says, really missed the Airbus streams. I know it's a bit Coles to Newcastle, but more please. No problem, Vuti2. Thanks so much. That's really generous. Thanks for supporting the channel as you have so much over the last year. And yeah, we'll definitely do more Airbus streams. I know there's just been a lot going on, and I've been a bit busy. But yeah, 321 is going to be taken out for a flight soon, as well as the 320. So yeah, absolutely. But thanks so much. Very kind of you, Vuti2. Really appreciate it. That's very, very generous. Hayden says the hold smells citrus fresh today. Did someone send some cleaners down? Yeah, I think they've been working on it. Stephen was kicked for a second too. Okay, good. Must have been that's him. So, 500 foot ceiling in Heathrow. So yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a gloomy approach. Does anyone know the runway in use? Has anyone gone into Heathrow today? Because it's the wind straight across. Could be anything. Miguel says, if you will check my YouTube channel, I've got a video of my dad landing the 340-600 in Madrid. Excellent. Very cool. Very cool. John says, has one of the mugs recommended. Excellent, John. Thanks. You're still showing about side. Looks like 27 right. Thank you very much. 27. The rest can stay the same. There it is. Right, so the flight plan, RadNav, Romeo 110.3. Anastimi 27 right. We're not doing the Cat 2. 500 feet cloud base would definitely be a Cat 1. 269 1103 India Romeo. There it is. Good. I don't know why it says course 142. Hopefully that will correct as we get a bit closer. Progress EGLL27 right. Performance. Oh, too far. 1014. Temperature 16. Wind 1809. Condition level 70. MDA 280. Oh, well, 278. I think it will take that actually. 278. There we go. Config full landing, most certainly. I don't want to strike the tail, although I would love to. It's funny, isn't it? You know, this is the magic of the Airbus. This is a totally different airplane, and yet this looks identical. Config 3. Is config 3 up here? I imagine it is. Flat mode. Off. No, that's not it. Where's the config 3 button? Maybe you don't have to do it. Maybe it's automatic in this one. I do not know. Interesting. There's no GPWS button for it though. Anyway, we'll do config full. I'm going to put 1000 in here. Now, a word of warning about flying into London on my X-plane. I have got loads and loads of scenery around London. I've got Heathrow, Gatwick, and these are high-level sceneries. They're like the Origami and Aerosoft, and I think we might have another one. We've got East Midlands, and then I've also got Orbex. We've got London City as well. So I get terrible, terrible frame rates in London. It's not this aircraft's fault. It's my simulator. I've got too much stuff. I need to actually remove some. I didn't realise until a bit too late, and I didn't want to start fiddling with my scenery today. So if you see poor frame rates or a drop off that sim, that's why. Just so you know, it's entirely my fault for having an overloaded simulator. Because as you can see, the frame rate's been absolutely great on this. So flat 3 is removed on the 340. So Elias, is that because you can't do it, or is it because I have noticed landing this airplane, it does land more more nose up, even with flap full. It's got quite a high nose attitude on final. And I've seen these land in real life, and that's exactly what they do. They come in with the nose way up in the sky, all the legs dangling out like an insect. It's quite amazing to see. But some people say it should notice it already. So I suppose even if you did flap 3, it must just approach a bit faster. Seven right. Thanks very much, guys. There's no overhead. Chris Drew says there's no config 3 button on the overhead panel like the 320. Just select config 3 in the perf approach. Okay, awesome. Well, we won't do that. But yeah, interesting to know. Thanks, Joakim, for hosting us. We love cookies. Thanks for the follow. Who doesn't? What I might do, we've got 40 miles. Should we just shoot up to 41 just to say we've been? Let's come up and climb. Let's go see if we get a get some contrails out there. Ennis says, "Hey Captain, what does N1 and N2 indications mean?" So N1 is the speed in a percentage of the front fan. N1 is the fan at the front, the one you can see. And 2 is the next fan behind it. So that is the... You can't actually see it. It's another compressor stage of the jet. So they're just the big fans, and there's loads of them that spin on the way in. We don't get a turbine speed because that's actually just related to it. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, so that's what they are. So N1. N2 seems to have disappeared. It only appeared during the engine start page. There it is, N2. And then N3 is the next one behind that. .3,400 feet per minute at 31,000 feet. Pretty good. Concorde is indeed even worse than nose up attitude, says John Padfield. I'm not getting away from Concorde, am I? It's like it's been following me around for like the last few weeks. What I'm going to do, guys, I know it's bad to leave it, but just before Heathrow contact us, I'm going to just put us on a very quick break. We're back in just a few minutes. So we'll see you very shortly. Hello, hello, welcome back. I made it back in time. It's really run out of puff, hasn't it? So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the break, got a cup of tea, enjoy the music. Lauren V, yeah, sorry, it was a very impromptu decision to suddenly climb to 4.1. Just wanted to say we'd been there. But I'm surprised how much it's struggling. Yeah, if we go to progress page, recommend max 410, so we should be able to make it. But yeah, it's that last little bit, it's been quite an effort for it. We are still doing decimal 8 though, and you see we don't want to go much slower really. It's interesting how low VLS is as well. I wonder why. Interesting. Does the entire engine spin at the same RPM? I heard that what engineers want is to get that fan as slow as possible, but the turbine as fast as possible. Ooh, I don't know. I just know percentages of maximums because they don't give us the actual RPMs. They never do. So I have no idea if N1 is spinning at the same speed as N2. They could be doing exactly the same RPM. It could just be a different percentage. I've got no idea. I'm afraid that's beyond me. need an engineer, and at that we probably need a very specific engineer to know that. Green dot is more than the 321 cruise Mac. It is indeed, Roy. Yeah. Oh no, we'll be screaming around the skies in VATSIM now. Yeah, Chris. No, we won't be using that checklist today. Are they contrast now? Yes, that was the whole point, wasn't it? Thank you. Yeah, good one. Let's level off. We're gonna have to immediately start down again. Surprised it hasn't warned us yet. Actually, decelerate or something like that. There it is, Mac up star and decelerate. There they are. Glorious. I think just bottom right, yeah, you can just see a bit of exhaust starting. Pretty cool. Right, decelerate message, and we've been finally caught. 11972. And that is Heathrow approach. Heathrow, good evening. Manta 222, flight level 410 to Roxog, 340-600, and we have information Delta. Not sure what I've done wrong there. Ah, I see the frame rate dropping. Again, that's my simulator. Checkpoint's got some food in. Excellent. 11972. 11972. Yeah, that's all we can do. Chef 1. We're going to have to start down now. Let's. Well, I don't want to get the speed back below green dots. We're going to leave it there. Let's try again. Heathrow, good evening. Manta 222. Ah, hold on. It's not. My VATSIM, it's not working. Why is that? What's it doing? That's not good. It seems to be really confused. It just seems to be listing all the different buttons. Don't do that. I don't want any of those. It's not recognising F9 at all. That's not good. Can I try a different one? I don't know what other buttons I haven't got assigned. Oh. Is F6 going to be a problem? Does anyone know? Has my F9 key broken? What does F6 do in X-Plane? F10? Should we try F10? That feels safer. It's not working anyway. We're going to have to disconnect, I think. Let's try. I'll try the administrator trick. I think it's funny, we've had such trouble. We had it with V-Pilot as well. Ah, that solved it.
Free turn right heading 070 degrees.
Ah, that solved everything. Brilliant. Right, thank you all so much for the help with that, as ever. I'm going to get in big trouble soon.
Easy 453, could I have them vectors again, please?
We're going to have to go and hold to get the height off now. Heathrow, good evening. Manta 222 Heavy, flight level 410 to Begto, 340-600 with Delta. Thanks so much. So it's just carb heat off F10, so that shouldn't be a problem anyway. Manta 222 Heavy.
Manta 222 Heathrow Delta, hello, squawk 7223.
Squawk 7223, Manta 222 Heavy. We're so high. 7223, that's in. And while we're here, let's set that to below for the descent. So interestingly, on the fuel page, we've got fuel used, fuel on board, but they obviously won't add up, so we're going to have to make sure we have written down how much fuel we dumped as well, or our sums will never work. I'll have to hassle him for descent. Thanks, Dave Danger. Glad you like them. More abnormal operations. Copied. Thanks, Dave. Oh, we're never going to make it through to the end. Yeah, okay, a few people had issue with Xpilot. It wasn't the key. No, F9's working again for me, which is great. It's probably a terrible key to assign it to, but that's what I always use. Kate. Descent flight level 150, Manta 222, Wilco. Right. No X-Flight button here. We've got an alt button, an approach, a lock, and that's it. So we're just going to have to leave it to it. Thrust idle open descent. Going to get to use a bit of the speed brakes as well. I must say, Kay, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for a super chat of $10. Really appreciate it. Kay says, thanks for all the A320 NEO lessons. You essentially helped me bankroll my whole FS economy career with A320 jobs. That's very kind of you. Thanks so much for the donation, Kay. Really appreciate it. And thanks for coming along and joining us today. And I'm glad it's been helping you out. Very kind of you. Right, speed brakes are coming out. Now you'd be struggling to use the speed brakes up here. But there they are. So I'm not going to put them out fully because of the... yes. 280 or greater on conversion, Manta 222. That's great, we're going to definitely be doing that. Right, so the next thing is the approach checklist. And yeah, for those of you wondering, administrator seemed to work, or it's just restarting the program. Yaroslav says, really looking forward to your VATSIM tutorial. Been really anxious to go for my first flight. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to get around to that. What does the out button do? Yeah, that would be expedite, wouldn't it? It just levels you off. Whoops. Let's put it back down. Right, so that's just like a push to level off. Same thing. Yeah. Lost that 11%. Not sure why you'd use it, but there you go. Right. So, he said 280 or greater on conversion. It's currently going to do 320.78, so that's good. I'm surprised it's not... Surprised it's so slow at the moment. 0.73. So let's intervene. Make it do what we want. Down it goes. Let's do decimal 82 should be enough. Speed brakes coming out. And now if we get more buffer to VLS, we can obviously descend a bit faster. So water brake is set. In terms of the brief, 2,500 feet ILS, normal 3 degree ILS down to 27 right. And let's bring up the airport charts so that we are ready for the after landing, because he's just told somebody off for getting it wrong. We don't want to do that. Not sure where he's going to park us. So 27 right is the plan, and then we're going to be maybe 10 echo. It's the highest, latest high speed. There's a dive and a half. Landing technique in this airplane. Obviously the pitch limit of 8.4 is the tricky bit, so I don't want to do too much. I'm going to flare. I'm going to make sure I'm flaring probably slightly before 30 feet. We are coming in heavy. We are 240 tons, so we are up at the higher end of the landing weight. So yeah, we need to make sure that we give ourselves a chance to flare in time, because we're going to have a bit of extra momentum. In terms of configuring, I found no real trouble, except it's quite hard to get the first stage of flap out sometimes, or the second stage of flap, sorry. Descent flight 100, Manta 222. 100, 0.82 proving acceptable. 8,000 feet per minute. Yeah, thank you again to Kay for your very kind donation. To go to Toulouse right, you should go east from Ockham, not west. That's a good point. It's still got 9 left in there. Interesting. So let's get rid of CI. Yeah, good spot. Oh no, it shouldn't do that. We had this happen before, and that's the autopilot off. It should have converted and reduced. Raise the nose. Speed brake's already out. Let's put it into speed. It's trying to accelerate through into the into the Mach number, which is obviously just going to disappear up to like 400 knots shortly. So still at idle. There we go. Back in. Autopilot 1. Still in thrust idle open descent. Let's give ourselves a bit of buffer. 305 knots. Now I don't know why it's done that, so let's try again. Let's change the arrival.
Speed to 260 knots and flight level 140, 453.
No, it's determined.
222, fly heading 360 degrees.
Heading 360 degrees, Manta 222.
Speedbirds 375.
Interesting heading.
Altitude 4,000 feet, QNH 1014.
Okay, that's all fine. It hasn't told us the runway in use.
Speedbird 375, descend to 4,000 feet, QNH 1014.
4,000 QNH 1014.
He's just getting us out of the way, I would imagine.
Speedbird 33, fly now, flight level 150.
A quick overspeed inspection as well. Exactly, Shriek.
Speedbird 440, bar November Bravo 3, runway 27 left, clear takeoff.
Right, they're taking off 27 left, so that does confirm it. Yeah, funny. I haven't had any trouble with this before. It's obviously just got a few waypoints it's determined to keep. Yeah, these are all left over from my initial approach, which I put in. So there we go. That's a more normal picture. And then we're going to sequence it to 27 right when we get the chance. Now this is obviously a very high speed approach, so we're going to put the LS buttons up now. All looking good. I think he's going to bring us around from the north at this rate unless he takes us south. We're just too high, so he's clearly seen that. Yeah, he might do us over the top, Alan. Exactly. Saved by the vectors, exactly. Controllers are very good. They do spot this stuff. Go ahead, Manta 222. Right, 090 degrees, Manta 222. Okay, he's not going to do that then. It's all about how far downwind we go now. It's only cleared us to 100, but let's do the. Let's see if it does the radial in. Do it from CI. There it is. Draws the line out, as we would hope. That's good. No nav intercept, as usual. So again, this is all, it's just like a 320. It really is, just with 4 engines. So we're heading downwind now. Heading 090 now on the heading. I hope he takes us wider again, because we are 1 mile abeam. We're basically going through the overhead and back out again. He's only cleared us to 100, so... Keep diving down. Well, we have a nice tour of London if we have a long downwind. Yeah, exactly. The weather's not so bad. There you go. You can see my Orbex scenery. Descend 5,000 feet, QNH 1014, Manta 222. Right, here we go. 5,000 feet, push it in. 1014. Let's... That's already activated, so it's already ready. There you go, it's sequenced to the correct point. Now this is bad. We're flying down overhead the ILS, so it's going to sequence to FI. It could sequence to FI 27 right if we're not careful. This will make me nervous in the real airplane of where it's going to sequence, so we might have to re-enter the approach. Approach checklist briefings confirmed, decaf status is checked. Seatbelts. Right, heading 180 degrees, Manta 222. Right, speed brake's coming in then. Heading 180, he's going to take us off to the south, that's good. Okay, it hasn't sequenced. If you're doing a non-precision approach, you've got to be very careful of that sort of thing where it could suddenly sequence. Now he said 280 or greater, he hasn't told us otherwise, so I'm going to just put 280 in there. He might complain shortly. Anyway, briefing's confirmed, decaf status checked. Seatbelts are now on. Let's get those landing lights on as well. Barra F is set to 1014, 3 times. Minimum 278. Set. Engine start selector. Norm. That's us done. ETA. Minutes. Just depending on his vectoring now, really. Yeah, that's a great idea. So we're going to copy the active into the secondary. And there it is. So if it does go wrong, we can just go into that one. But it has actually sequenced correctly. I'm quite impressed with that. Now, he's not told us otherwise. So, like I say, I'll stick with 280. Oof. I'm not going to go to that wing view. That's my scenery causing that. Left heading 360 degrees, Manta 222. So that's coming in for our intercept. Hayden J. Robbins, thank you so much for your donation. Really appreciate it. It's very kind. Hayden says, looking forward to Concorde Captain. Oh, and helis. Hayden would love to see us do a helicopter. I keep meaning to do it. There's another thing on my list. I do apologise, Hayden, but thank you so much. Really appreciate the 340 donation. Really see what you did there as well. Oh, the FPS. It's because we're going to storm over London City as well now. It's my setup. I should have sorted this out. Johan, that 222 is just something I always use when I'm testing things or making videos. It's my default one. You see that they do return to sort of 34, but I think it's when it loads up a scenery nearby. Right. We're actually going to find ourselves with extra track miles. So VS 1000, 6,000 feet, 18 miles out. We're all good. We're just a bit fast. So soon I'm going to have to ask him to reduce speed. I'll do it when he next calls us, because we're still okay. We're 20 miles out, 5,000 feet, so now we're below profile. Sometimes you just can't tell, because it just depends what they do with you. Outstar. Send us to 3,000 feet, Manta 222. Any speed?
180 or greater.
180 or greater, Manta 222. Fine. Manage speed. 3,000 feet. And I'm going to do this one in vertical speed. I'll do 800. That should be reasonable enough to get going so that I'm not getting in the way of somebody else. But it will allow the speed to wash off a bit quicker. So again, we're going to aim for 10. But we are a heavy, so hopefully there'll be space behind us. First time we've been a proper heavy. I think this is the heaviest we've been. FPS-wise, compared to 321, I've not had any trouble plainly. The reason for this bad FPS is the scenery in the area. It's my fault. I've got London City, Gatwick and Heathrow, plus Orbex, and it's just a bit too much. I'm just going to use the speed brakes. We're fine profile-wise. What I don't want to do is just cut in with a 20-knot tailwind at 250 knots. It's going to be a really ugly intercept of the RLS. Left heading 300 degrees to establish localizer 27 right when established 7 of the glide, Manta 222. 300. Cleared us for the whole lot, so there it is. Cat 3 dual, AP1 plus 2. That's a really convoluted way of saying you're cleared for it all. It's what they do in London. There you go. Lock star. Going altitude is 3,000 feet, which is in. See that speed washing off. Speed brakes are in. 220 knots will be absolutely fine. We're 18 miles out. Start reducing that shortly. We might find ourselves kicked off VATSIM in a second, though. I'm genuinely shocked it hasn't booted us out already for that. There you go. We've gone through it. Thomas Mortimer, good to see you. I think the F reflex temp is because on some 340 you can use D for D rate, so you need to specify if you want to flex D rate. Thanks so much, Thomas Morsmore. Excellent spot. Then Hi says, I hear Apex do a fine PC. 160 or greater to 4, Manta 222. Well, we'll have no trouble with that. Let's go flap 1. Ah, there you go. We're going to be fine to get flap 2 out. Their speed is just there. So 160 to 4 when we're on the glide slope. No problem. And he said or greater. There's London itself. You can see why my FPS was struggling. Beautiful. Oh, that's really good. Orbex is good, isn't it? Wow. But it is... I'm suffering for it. So yeah, new partnership with Apex Gaming PCs. If you haven't seen, there's a link in the description. You can customize your PC, choose the storage and so on you want. But there's two sort of presets. You've got the bus and the Manta being a bit more premium. And yeah, I made sure we put in a really nice processor in both of those. Both slightly different. But yeah, and then you can customize and have it built to you and sent to you. Quite exciting. Quite a fun development. I had a lot of fun making those. Right. 3,000 feet now. Going to intercept at 9 miles, 200 knots. We don't just slow down just yet, but we will shortly. I think if we hit the glide slope 200 knots, even if we just put out flap 2 at that moment, it's just like the 320 family. There's only slats out, so we might put them out. There we go. Glide slope's alive. I'm going flap 2, which is going to keep us faster. Thanks, Meadow, for the subscription. I set it to daylight because I always do for streams. I try to avoid flying at night for too long. Sometimes we do, but mostly I try not to. Beautiful, beautiful thing. So there's 180, passing 10 miles. That's all good. Next is going to be the landing checklist. Glide slope star. Starting down 9 miles, that's all good. He said 160, so I'm going to pull. He said greater than 160. Let's see what happens if I just select it. I'm actually going to go to flap 3. Flap 3. Which, there you go, works out about right. Harry's back for the 340 landing with an evening cup of tea. Couldn't picture a better evening. Let's hope it goes all right. We'll see. We've got a lot of things to deal with here. Air traffic control is working very hard out there. Right, 8 miles, 160. We have to do 160 to 4, so that's fine. So we'll delay our stable criteria. If we're a bit fast, that's fine, because it's for a reason, as long as we're fully configured. There we go, 160 knots. There's the radar coming alive, 2,500 feet, which makes sense, about 7.5 miles. QNH 1214 is set and all good. Pretty miserable out there. 15 degrees though, don't need the NG ice. Autoland is possible, the Autoland already works. Yeah, I've used it already. 6 miles. Coming in now. Got the rudder set up. Wind is from the left, so a little bit of right rudder is going to be required. What the crosswind technique is in a 340-600, I have no idea. There's flap 3. I've always liked X-Plane's sort of IFR clouds. I think they look really good. Right, let's put gear down. Thanks, Jamlin, for the subscription. There's 4.3, that's good enough. Manage speed, flaps full, and the lights on. Would have normally done that when the gear went down. I'm assuming it's the same. Cabin, so there is a cabin for this one. Ding dong. That is done. So, cabin crew advised, landing checklist, cabin crew advised, auto thrust in speed, auto brake is on 3. Eco memo, landing on blue. Landing check's complete. Excuses are the FPS is low, I'm not used to this airplane, and there's a crosswind. And we got that in with 10 feet spare. Excellent. There's the runway. So just waiting for landing clearance now. Runway 27 right, clear to land, the wind 180 degrees, 9 knots. Did land 27 right, Manta 222. Okay, that's 601 airborne, passing Oof, that's pretty IMC. Pretty miserable day. We're clear to land though, that's all good. Look at that, 148 knots. Flare at 40, yeah. Thanks, Chris. Okay, we're going to flare a little bit earlier. I figured something like that. We don't want to hold it off the runway for too long, or we have a high risk of a tail strike on this one. I'm not going to worry too much about which exit to take, but I'm assuming there's someone behind us. Right, here we go then. Autopilot off. A little bit of right rudder. There's that down arrow. Can't even hear the rudder. Got too much going on in the audio at the HEC. Into the flare. Idle. Bit of rudder. Oh, there it is. Happens quicker than you think. And derotate. And we roll out. That is reverses. There they go. Oh dear, we're not going to make that exit now. And decelerating. You see the decel light sat in the middle there. Let's go for manual brakes. Reverse idle as we go through 70 knots. And we'll take this high speed off to the left. Yeah, needed a bit more of a flare I think there. But it all looked fine. We'll see what the replay looks like. Get on those brakes. Not sure which exit we've gone for here. 246, there you go. Right, forward idle. We'll take it. We made it down the touchdown zone. It does all look a lot slower. Out the window, that looked totally fine. Again, the feet per minute thing is not massively accurate, so I don't want to get too excited. That looked fine. We'll see what the replay looks like. Might give us a better clue. So we're going to oversteer a bit here, and then drag the nose around. Otherwise, we risk.
Welcome to Heathrow. Taxi straight ahead on Echo. Left on Alpha Stand 303.
Thank you very much. Echo Alpha 303, Manta 222. Okay, straight ahead on Echo. Let's get that one sorted. Echo. Let's get off the runway. Echo Alpha 303. It must be down here if we're going Alpha 303 on the other side. Right, let's get going. Right, so we can disarm those spoilers, bring the flaps up, do our normal after landing flow. Bella, you missed the landing, but don't worry, you didn't miss too much. Don't replay it. No, we'll go and do a replay shortly, obviously. What else do we need to do? Strobe lights can go off. Landing lights off. Flaps are up. Get the APU up and running. Yeah, definitely wet. Let's get the screen up. I do like the screen. Oh, before we go wide, there we go. The tilting gear make it feel not so bad for landing authority. Now, I have heard that the 340-600 had. If the problem was you're trying to land, so you have to land the main gear. We'll look at the replay. The main gear and then the center gear, which means that you end up with like two landings, and it's harder because the center gear you've already got the spoilers coming up, so the plane starts to just try and sit down, which is something we'll see in a minute. So we're going to go left on. He said Alpha, which is right at the bottom. What else do we need to do? After landing, flaps are up, spoilers disarmed, APU start, radar, and predicted wind shear. That's the ones. Off. TCAS. Stand by. That's the Alpha and check's complete. We'll take Alpha here. Victor Tango, you're very welcome. See you next time. I might. What's the time? Okay, we've got a few minutes spare. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do the replay here. And then I'm going to... Oh, a bit early. Got to oversteer a bit more. And then what I think we'll do is just for practice, we're going to go and do a few practice landings at Gatwick. Outside of that sim. Just to see what technique works for us. It's always the fun of a new airplane. But that'll be after this. We'll look at this replay first.
Golf departure.
Just because it's a new toy, really. Gotta have fun.
Got that brilliant. Park 7 Golf. Just repeat the score, please.
Thanks to Capeman for the follow, and Rick.
428.
Right, we're going for stand 303. So it's the middle one.
Springbird 2 Alpha Mike. Welcome to Heathrow.
What do you guys think? Are you
Stand 508.
you guys interested in that plan? Should we do a bit of Gatwick's just landings? I've got a situation saved, so it'll take me 2 minutes to load the airplane there and then just try some landings from about 1,000 feet.
See ya. Air Canada 601. Further climb is at your discretion. Monitor Unicorn 122. Decimal 8. Good evening.
Touch and goes. Oof, could be tricky, but we could try. Right, 303 is in via link 33. Look at it running away. Yes, yes, yes. Everyone likes that. Good, we'll do that. Want to get more practice in.
Link Standard 463 requesting pushback.
Look at all those brakes. Look how much energy is in that. 400 degrees times 16. Sorry, 12.
Just got a heavy, just going to just sort of stand to your left.
Have I got it wrong?
And about 40.
No, 33. It's this one here.
Link Standard 463.
Rejected takeoff 2. Oh, I haven't got a takeoff set up.
It's just off to your left-hand side.
That's the only issue with that one.
Once you're happy that you're clear of him in A340, you push aside the pre-face that you're
I like that tip on that magenta dot on the nose wheel, that if you put the centre line on that, you should be fine. There you go. We're clearly going too wide there. 303, that's the easiest route in. That was really nice taxi instruction from air traffic to make us do that. Love it. Oh, let's not get distracted now. Lights off. Not very straight, but that'll do. Nose was in the right place. Somebody is waiting for us out there. Oh, is there a 340 line down there? So we haven't gone past it. 320, 330, 340, 2 and 3. No. 380. No, there's not. There's the other ones, but not us. We'll go for the 380. We're just as important. Brake set.
Good evening.
APU is available. Let's shut it down. I'm just going to do 2 engines, make sure I got it right. Yeah, it's all working. And we'll do the rest. Yeah, rejected takeoff in this beast, fully loaded, Phil Norbeck says. That's quite a good idea. 2 point says, I was wondering if you would like to give Jurassic World a spin. I've been thinking about it. Thanks, Checkpoint. VT Jake, thanks so much for your $10 super chat. Really appreciate it. VT Jake says, congrats on 50k. I just woke up, so I'm late to the party. Anyway, hope you had a beautiful day and hope you're enjoying the new toy. I really am enjoying it. Thanks so much, VT Jake. It's incredibly generous. Thanks for coming along. Really appreciate it. Thanks for that donation. Very kind. Beacon going off. And that is us. Very warm welcome to London Heathrow. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm looking through my list of things I wanted to talk about. I think I got most of the Wikipedia facts in. Talked about the tail strikes. I wonder what pitch we're at for landing. We'll have a look. So we're going to go and overanalyze that landing before we're going to go and practice a couple more. Won't take us too long. So let's disconnect from VATSIM, who have been excellent. Thank you to those who flew along. Thank you to those of you. If you're leaving us now, do please leave a like on the way out if you did enjoy it. Really appreciate it. And let's now go and mess around. You see there with the ToLiss that does the automatic doors. I do like that because that's what happens. You park up and the first thing that happens is the doors start opening. You get no say in that. They just suddenly start moving around. So we disconnect from that. So what I am going to... What's that? Oh, there's front door. I was going to say. What I'm also going to do is just adjust the weather slightly. Let's put it to... Let's do something a bit more, just a bit more pleasant. VFR, but I don't like the VFR visibility. Actually, let's do Cavalcade. Good visibility. Add in some cumulus scattered. There we go. So now we know what the wind is and so on. There we go. Right, let's go have a look at that landing. Let's actually see what's going on. You'll be relieved to know, of course. Let me just turn down the audio from inside the airplane. It keeps jumping. It's very strange. Right, I'm just going to turn it down because it'll be outside a bit now. Let's put the camera back. Oh, it's not letting me. Why is it not letting me? I should have probably done that earlier. Let's use this one. So let's see what the pitch was at landing, just out of curiosity. Shouldn't really be above 8. 5, maybe 6. And there was touchdown. About 6 degrees. So we had a couple of degrees to play with. Speed, pretty fast. Let's have a look. Here's what I mean about it looking like a bit of a dangly insect. It's quite funny. It's amazing to see land in front of you. I don't know. I think that's pretty harsh of the overlay. I think the overlay is being a bit unfair there. That seems all right. I don't know what else I would have done, to be honest with you. Maybe flared a little bit earlier. It's the only thing I can think of. I might be wrong, but does the windshield need slight tweaking? I'm not sure. Oh, we're having bad FPS, aren't we? Has that recovered, everyone? VMCG says it's when they open the cargo door with beacon, you need to have a word. Yeah, that's not good. Right, I'll stop talking. Show you again. Yeah, maybe. It's such a big airplane. It all looks so slow. It's really hard to tell. Seems fine, but yeah, maybe a little bit high. Let's do one more. It's a bit smoother like this. Maybe this is going to work. There, the FPS is really struggling. Again, it's not the airplane. That's my simulator. I do apologise. We'll go to Gatwick, see if it's any better there. Yeah, it's funny. Up they come. You notice the ailerons do that undroop thing, and then there's 2 of them sticking up in the air. Lagging too much. Okay, no worries. Sorry about that. Again, not the 340. It's entirely... Oof, that was a bit fast and sad. Entirely my my simulator. Let's leave the replay. And let's go. What I will do... I'm just going to... Oh, will it work? Let's try. I'll put everything in the right place. Let's see if it works. Amazing. Unbelievable. Now, it could be the streaming software that's been the one step too far. Auto thrust is off. Hopefully they wake up in a minute. Nope, they're not waking up. No, that's my fault. For now the engines are running. Let's try that again. That's because you shouldn't really do that with the engines off. There we go. That was yeah. Well, it's an amazing tool. This. So we're back. Final. It's a light winds landing into Gatwick on the ILS 26 left. We are at 265 tons. We're a little bit heavy. But that should be fine. So we're about max landing weight, I think. First time we load, the auto thrust doesn't work. Yeah, that's because of that. Captain Canada thinks the landing rates aren't accurate due to the presence of extra landing gear. Really? Yeah. I mean, landing rates are never accurate because we don't look at the feet per minute ever. 200 feet per minute is totally fine, by the way. You'd be totally safe to land at that feet per minute, as far as I'm aware. Something like 700 feet per minute, that's when you're in a really heavy landing. But here we go. Let's try again. Right, so this is live. This isn't the replay. How's your FPS? It looks a little bit better until I go outside. Okay. Well, we'll stay inside. Autopilot off. So, a bit of an earlier flare needed. That's what we sort of decided from that one. Is it alright when we're inside? You guys let me know. Looks better. My computer's just not happy.
100 above. 100. Minimum. 50.
Get the flare in.
30. 20.
Idle.
10. 5.
There's touchdown. Feels like we're floating along. Get the reversers out. Yeah, see, you run out of runway quickly in this thing. I'm going to get on manual brakes. There's 70 knots, reverse idle. Right. How was that? So we flared a little bit earlier in that one. That's going to have cooked the brakes. I think. Oh, I don't know. I'm really sorry about the stream. I can promise you the simulator itself is smooth for me. But I can see that the stream you're getting isn't. It's my streaming software is complaining. I must just have too much going on. I'm really sorry about that. That is frustrating. It's not the airplane. I'm running the simulator. Well, I can tell you. Well, it's not doing 5 FPS. It's running normally for me. So I don't know what's getting confused in the background. Maybe once I press play. But that is a replay after all. But there we go. It looks totally smooth to me. But so here's the flare. That worked. But then you just sort of sit there and the nose is so far up that you have to spend ages getting it down. You've got to really get on that. Because look, we're out of the touchdown zone now and the nose wheel's not even close. I'm sure that's not a legitimate technique for landing this thing. Yeah, so it looks worse for you guys than it is. I do apologise, but there we go. So what we'll do then is, I think, let's zoom back. I won't try anymore. It's obviously not happy. So I, again, apologise for that. But thank you all for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope it's been interesting for you to see this new airliner. It's a fantastic piece of work. It's not out yet. It's still in beta. This is a preview version. Again, any FPS issues are exclusively my simulator in London. It's my fault. Look at that. You see the scenery popping in. So I can only apologise for that. But I hope you've enjoyed the flight. Throughout it, we've looked at the different systems, the unique parts of the 340, those things like the rotation law, the fuel dumping system, the camera in the cabin, all working, which I was really impressed with. There's some nice little sim things that I know as flight simmers, there's some things we like, and things like animations and little details go a long way. And for me, things like that, having the tray tables, having the little taxi camera was just such a joy. When I first saw that, you just go, yeah, this is a good bit of fun. So yeah, I can see even now my computer's just freezing up sometimes, but there we go. Yeah, so it's been a good bit of fun for me to give it a go. We're going to use it again, obviously, and maybe we'll get a couple more streams in before it's even released. We'll see how things go. Maybe we'll fly it somewhere that isn't London and we'll get better frames. But yeah, I've absolutely loved it. It's one of my favourite airplanes, as I said. It's a great bit of kit, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think of it, for those of you who do pick it up. If you have enjoyed the stream, do please hit the like button. It makes a massive difference on YouTube. There's no way to like on Twitch as far as I'm aware, but if you just follow, that sort of gets recorded as the channel doing well, I think, and then you'll get notified if we stream again. We're also going to find that we have some more videos coming soon, things like the Just Flight Hawk T1. Very excited to show you that. I spent a lot of time in that video, so that should be a good bit of fun. And more A320 guides. I hope that at the moment there's an ILS charts tutorial up on the channel if that is useful to you. Thank you again to ToLiss for sending over the 340-600s. Yeah, great work, obviously, and we'll be seeing it again soon. Thanks to the moderators for coming along and spending all their time to moderate. Thank you so much as well to those of you chatting along. Very kind of those of you who donated, really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be seeing you again in another video or live stream very soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.